Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar DA. The true identity of the curse of Yoshiro-sama is homesickness. Mio-san believed my story, and she let me read these scrapbooks. That's why I expected to find something interesting. But what it's saying is that the answer to all of it is homesickness, which many doctors told me so many times at counseling. I'm a little upset. The word homesickness can't explain the extraordinary experience I had. I saw Yoshiro-sama come down to me from a bright light in the bathroom. I saw the dusky red maggots come out of my blood vessels. This scrapbook doesn't explain any of that. I don't understand how Mio-san was going to explain the cloud of maggots. Maybe she didn't have any explanation of that to begin with. Was it just a delusion? I flipped through one of the other scrapbooks Mio-san let me borrow, looking for an explanation of the maggots I saw. Then I found it. It had the exact title I was looking for. About Maggots and the Curse of Yoshiro-sama. In the Meiji era, a group of villagers were on their way back to Hinamizawa, and they started discussing a rumor about a weird disease. They said that maggots started crawling out of the wounds of a person who left Hinamizawa, and that the maggots ate the person's body from the inside. The Shinto priest of the Furude Shrine at the time explained that the weird disease was a sign of the curse of Yoshiro-sama. According to tradition, the Shinto priest showed the villagers an ancient scroll. He told them, "The story of the maggots has been passed down through the ages." This is what the scroll said. The world where the demons came from must be interpreted as the land of death, and demons that in the land of the death had to live their lives while being eaten by maggots. The villagers, who were of the demon's blood, had nothing to worry about as long as they lived in Hinamizawa under the protection of Yoshiro-sama. But once they left Hinamizawa, abandoning that protection, the maggots that had been sleeping in the blood of the demons would start to awaken, and they'd eat their bodies from the inside out. I know I've explained this in previous videos, but basically there's a brain disease, and living in Hinamizawa exposes you to it. But the same stuff that exposes you to it keeps it dormant. Which means, obviously, if you never go to Hinamizawa, you're never exposed. But once you're exposed, it's in you. But continuing your exposure keeps it dormant. In addition to that, though, there are certain brain chemicals, such as adrenaline or severe stress, that will also cause the dormancy to stop. This maggot disease scared the villagers for a while, and they asked the shrine to provide them with protective talismans whenever they had to leave the village on business. This is interesting, as it's similar to the way the homesickness was dealt with by the Swiss in the Middle Ages. After the war started, the delusion of the maggot disease faded away, but there remained a custom to send talismans to families They lived away from Hinamizawa. The talismans had the word maggot on them. But the most interesting part about all this is that the residents of Hinamizawa didn't know about the maggot disease until the rumors began. I thought their unconscious worship made those people think of homesickness as a curse. So this case of the previously unknown maggot disease directly contradicted the research I had done so far. It's natural to think that a group of people who were on their way back to the village were lost in a mass delusion because they strongly believed in the curse, and the Shinto priest took advantage of their state of panic to instill a deeper faith in them. But I'm not fully convinced that it was merely coincident that this mass delusion matched the story in the old picture scroll. I wonder if it's possible to see maggots in a wound without having the prerequisite knowledge when a person is cursed by Oishiro-sama. I wish Oishiro-sama could put his curse on someone I could study. I'd love to see those maggots coming out of someone. I felt as if Mio-san was here and making that request of me. I remember when she gave me the scrapbooks, she said I might be the only one who could understand them. I felt good for a moment because I found the maggots weren't a delusion, but at the same time it destroyed my excuse that it was a delusion. The maggots weren't a delusion. They were there. All of a sudden my wrists, elbows, inner thighs, and neck started itching. I felt the urge to cut open a blood vessel, but I quietly held it down. I remember that Mio-san looked very serious when I talked about the maggots. She must have thought it was creepy, but so did I. While I was crying because nobody believed me, a part of me didn't want to believe that my body was filled with those creepy things. I think part of me wanted to believe that it was a delusion. But now I know it wasn't. It wasn't a delusion. There are some people who had the same experience. Maggots in the demon's blood will awaken when you lose the protection of Oishiro-sama. In other words, they may not awaken under the protection of Oishiro-sama, but all the villagers still have the maggots in them without knowing it. People of the demon's blood are people who have the creepy maggots in their body. I tried not to jump to conclusion and flipped the pages again. I unconsciously looked for something related to maggots. But that is true. Technically, anybody living in Hinamizawa has them in them. It's just they're in a dormant state. About parasites and control of the host. The maggot disease made me think about something. Is it possible to say the extremely strong homesickness in Hinamizawa was an infectious disease caused by some kind of parasite? I'm not trying to connect the maggots they saw with parasites. I'm trying to think about the possibility that their culture, their religion might be associated with an infectious disease. Many infectious diseases are caused unintentionally by parasites. A parasite's host is literally its home. It wants to live within the host's body for as long as it can. The best way to do that is to coexist with the host without the host knowing it. But some parasites try to control their hosts and use them for prosperity. For example, some parasites have an ability to control their host in order to force them to be eaten by a superior host. A typical example is the Dicrocilium dendriticum. It uses snails or ants as intermediate hosts, and it forces them to move to the upper side of vegetation, so it's easier for a superior host to consume it. One parasite that controls more complicated animals is called Toxoplasma gondii. It uses mice as intermediate hosts, the superior host being cats. This parasite makes a mouse lose its fear of cats in order to increase its chance of getting eaten, so that the parasite can live within a cat instead. There are parasites that choose hosts at random. The rabies virus is commonly known for that. It lives and breeds in the brain of the host, and it moves into the host's saliva through the salivary glands. It makes the host extremely aggressive, in order to make it bite things randomly so that it can move into the other hosts through the saliva. That's what rabies does. Many parasites have a similar ability to control the host to their benefit. The examples I used above are about parasites that move into other hosts to prosper, but I think there must be some kind of parasite that controls its hosts in order to have a comfortable environment in which to live. I want to try to connect this theory to the abnormal homing ability and homesickness of the Onagafushi residents. I think I've already explained that, basically it's food. You get a certain amount of the brain worms in your brain. It reaches a saturation limit. At that point, the worms just sort of get up camp and they eat the new arrival worms. However, if you either agitate the worms via excessive stress, changing what chemicals are in the brain, or by leaving Onagafushi, causing the worms not to have any new arrivals to eat, so then they have to start eating the brain tissue. Let's say there's some kind of parasite that exists in Namizawa, and it lives within all the villagers' bodies. For the parasite, Hinamizawa is the most comfortable environment to live in, so it gives the host a strong homing ability in order to make them stay in Hinamizawa. Furthermore, it causes the host to get homesick whenever they ignore this homing ability and try to leave. Parasites need hosts in which to live. It's convenient for them if their host builds community in the environment where it feels comfortable. This theory makes it easier for me to explain the mysteries I described earlier. The Transcendents Onagafushi knew about the existence of this parasite. They knew that, as hosts of the parasite, they couldn't live outside of the village. That's why they created a culture and rules that prohibited contact with the outside world. It also explains why people acted so abnormal during the Adab conflict. So the demons that came out of the swamp in legendary Shirasama can be interpreted as the mass spread of the parasite. The story about the demons attacking the villagers must be a metaphor for the behavior of the infected villagers who were controlled by the parasite. This theory is too crazy. I should have just laughed about it, but I felt bad for Mio-san, so I decided not to. Hinamizawa is controlled by a parasite? You could use that theory to explain how the maggots came out of me. I felt a little bit dizzy. I was so confused, and a part of me thought it was ridiculous, and another part of me thought it more convincing than any curse. But Mio-san was probably erased because she wrote these scrapbooks. If so, the contents of these scrapbooks must be something that they can't ignore. They try to get all of her scrapbooks and consign them to oblivion. What if they notice some of her scrapbooks are missing? I felt a chill running through my spine. I have to keep it a secret that I have these scrapbooks, and I'll have to try to understand more about their contents. I remember Mio-san told me that the three families are behind the serious mysterious deaths, and that they are trying to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama. According to the theory I just read, the parasite must be trying to maintain the current environment of Hinamizawa. The healthiest environment for it is a completely closed village, just like the primitive Onagafushi. It must be very comfortable for the parasite of no hosts go outside the village. They don't even like that the villagers often leave the village to go shopping. That means the parasite would try to go with the hosts in resurrecting the cult of Oyashiro-sama. I remember there was an article in the scrapbook saying that the demon's blood runs thickest in three families. That would mean that they have a larger amount of the parasite in them than the other villagers, and that they are under its control. The three families seem to be planning to bring the village back to the Onagafushi era. Reviving the Watanagashi festival after the dam conflict can be interpreted as their desire to revive the faith that had started to fade away in the Meiji era. The three families, especially the Sonozaki family, have a great influence over the region and the public organizations. What's going on here? I thought this to be a poorly written theory, but the pieces fit together, one after another. I've never played a jigsaw puzzle as crazy as this. I felt my brain swirling due to this absurd theory. A part of me thought this was ridiculous, and another part of me thought I might be about to expose an unbelievable truth. When I tried to look into the center of it, I felt as if I was going to fall into the whirlpool and drown. I'll have to devote myself to reading more seriously. There must be some truth to this. It caused misfortune in my life, made my life miserable after I moved to Ibaraki. I might be able to find the truth, including the cause of my parents' divorce and my desperate behavior. Right then I heard a knock on the door, all of a sudden scaring me. I hid the scrapbooks under a cushion. Rana, you have a phone call. A phone call? This late? Who is it? It's from a bookstore. Did you order some books? They said they were Oishi-san from the Okonomiya bookstore. I opened the windows, but all they let in was heat and the cries of the cicadas. It's too hot. It really is. It was break time between classes, but we couldn't really get any rest. Mia and I leaned on our desk, exhausted by the heat. The younger kids sure are tough, considering how the heat wasn't bothering them at all. They were running around the classroom despite the temperature. Do schools in the cities have air conditioning in their classrooms? No, they don't. Only the teacher's office gets to have air conditioning. Wow, that's better than nothing. If I were a student at school like that, I'd attack the teachers to take over their office. You'd be the first student to ever do that. Wahaha. Ha. I didn't even have the energy to laugh. Mia and I stopped talking and used our notebooks to fan ourselves. I looked at the empty seat nearby. It was Rena's. Rena didn't come to school today. She called and told Chia since she couldn't come because she's sick. Rena seems to be feeling down these days. Yeah, she probably got tired from the heat. Do you really think that's the reason? Yeah, why? I think it's the incident. Maybe. It's probably both that and the summer heat. I can't even imagine how distressing it was for her to commit a murder, dismembering the bodies, and get caught by our friends. We took each other's hands at that place and we united. All of us believed that we had closed the case there and regained our peace. But was that as easy for Rena as it was for us? She must have not quite recovered yet. This old man thought she'd get over if she played along with us. But I guess her pain ran deeper than I thought. What should we do to cheer her up? It's best to just leave her alone, I think. Hey, are you sure about that? We're friends, you know. Well, it's like homesickness, you know. You get lonely and you want to call home. Just to hear your mom's voice. But that actually makes your homesickness worse. When you're feeling lonely, the best thing to do is devote yourself to sports, or something like that for a change. I want her to do club activities with us, but she doesn't want to. I don't know about her. But people usually have a desire to depend on somebody. You want to depend on somebody who supports you and sympathizes with you. Haven't you ever experienced that feeling? When you can't stop depending on somebody when they try to cheer you up? Well, I don't know. Completely depending on someone means trying to earn even deeper sympathy from them. At that point, even though you're trying to comfort them, they just slip further and further into depression. By finding an initial success through relying on someone, receiving comfort, they grow addicted to indulging in misfortune. I think Rena knows that too. That's why she wants to be alone right now. If she wanted to depend on us or get comfort from us, all she'd have to do is stay with us and cry all the time. So how can we cheer her up? I think she'd appreciate more if you tried to help her forget her pain than if you tried to cheer her up. Don't comfort her and don't cheer her up. There's nothing I can do, is there? That's a golden rule for psychologists, do you know? Mental trauma can only be healed by the person who has it. If someone else helps a person out of the mental trauma, even if they succeed, the person would be completely healed. So all we can do now is wait until Rena heals on her own. But what if she can't, though? I understand the idea, but I just don't like how cold it sounds. I clasped my hands behind the back of my head, looking at the ceiling. Mian laughed. Rena will be fine as long as she has someone like you to worry about her. I'm sure she can pull herself together. So all I need to do is be close to her. I don't know about that. There is something you can do, Keiichi. Rika-chan spoke up. Wonder how long she'd been listening to our conversation. What is it? You can listen to her when she wants to talk to somebody. Is that all? I just listen. I don't need to make her feel better. Kei-chan, people feel better just by talking to somebody. Sometimes all they need is someone who does nothing but listens quietly. Just like me said. I think it's important for us as her friends to be there for whenever she wants to talk to somebody. Mian and Rika-chan were absolutely right. I was going to pat Rena on her shoulder and tell her to cheer up when I saw her next, but now I know that would have been a one-sided on my part. Rena doesn't want to feel down herself. She wants to cheer up if it's possible. If I cheered her up irresponsibly, she'd be very disappointed because she'd think that I didn't understand her pain. You're right. I guess I wasn't even trying to understand how she felt. I wanted to cheer her up, but I know that's just what I want to do, not what she wants me to do. Thanks, you two. I think I finally understand. On that day I thought I cheered her up, but I started to doubt if I had reached her heart. I might have just been dragging her someplace where I wanted her to go. I wasn't on her side in the real sense of the term. All of a sudden Rika-chan patted my head. Don't worry, we all know that you're on her side. What? Did I say something out loud again? It did reach her heart. Kei-chan, you really did give her strength on that day. Well, now that I think about it, what you said on that day was more than a little theatrical. We heard footsteps in the hallway and everybody started to head back to their desks. Take your seats, everyone. President, if you would, all rise. We didn't have a club meeting that day because Rena wasn't around. That worked out for me because I had an errand to run. It wasn't a big errand. My mom wanted me to use her point card to get some detergent. I didn't see the point of going all the way around the store just to get detergent, but my mom told me to go because she's busy helping my dad with work. I started walking towards the shopping center. I noticed someone was watching me, hiding behind a distant tree. I wonder who would do such a mischievous thing. I stared at them to find out who it was, at which point they emerged. Oh, Rena! Are you feeling better now? I was about to say that, but I swallowed the words. Somehow, Rena looked very serious. What's going on? Shh! Rena put her index finger to her lips, told me to be quiet, looked down carefully, and beckoned for me to come over. I had no idea what was going on, but I followed her instructions, shut my mouth, and ran to her. Rena gestured for me to squat down, to hide in the shadow of the bush. I didn't know why I had to do that, but I could ask her the question later. I just followed her orders for now. Rena looked like she was making sure no one was following her. If it was Mian, she'd do something like this just to fool me as a joke, but I know Rena doesn't do things like this for fun. I had no idea what kind of situation I'd gotten myself into, but I could feel how tense it was, and I made myself as small as I could. Good. It's okay now. I'm sorry. The tone of her voice made me relax a little. Hugh, what's going on? I think someone has been following me. What? Who would follow her? When I thought about it, I realized how stupid the question was. Is it the police? Rina, Mamiya, and Tepehojo. 2 people disappeared. Even though they were all human beings, the police had to investigate if they found out that they'd gone missing. It probably wouldn't be difficult to find out Rina had often been to Rena's house, but it should be okay. As long as they don't find those bags, it should be okay. I don't know if it's the police or not, but I feel like someone has been watching me since the night of the Watanagashi. What do you mean? Once I asked that question, Rena Fierce stared directly at me with a blank expression. Her eyes looked as though they were evaluating me. She stared at me as if she was assessing whether I was worth talking to about something very important. Rena squeezed her own wrist tightly, and then started talking in a whisper. I can tell you what's going on, but can you keep it a secret? Yeah, of course I can. If you want me to keep it a secret, I won't tell anybody, okay? I trust you. She smiled and looked around one more time. They might be looking for Mio-san's scrapbooks. Mio-san? Oh, the nurse, Takano-san. What about her scrapbooks? The police are keeping the investigation under wraps, so I'm sure you don't know. Mio Takano-san was murdered. What? When? She told me to be quiet again. I lowered my voice and let her continue. On the night of the Tanagashi, we met Mio-san and Tomataki-san, didn't we? They were attacked right after that. Tomataki-san was cursed by Ushiro-sama. He clawed out his own throat and died. Mio-san was burned to death in the mountains in the Gifu prefecture. Is that true? I mean, nobody told me about that. I know. That's because the police haven't disclosed the investigation. These cases make the 5th of the series of mysterious deaths, so the police have decided not to go public yet. I see. I understand why the police are keeping quiet about it, but then, where did you hear this? Can you keep it a secret? I've been in contact with Oishi-san. He's a detective from the Okinomiya Police Department. He told me about the case. Why did he tell you? I don't know. He said to me because he could trust me. I was dumbfounded to hear all this, but I knew she wasn't lying. If it was Mion, she'd be sticking your tongue out by now. But Rena wouldn't make a joke out of something like this. I think the reason why Mio-san was murdered is because of her research. Do you know what she was doing? Ethnological research by studying the history of this village? I read something along those lines. Takano-san was interested in the occult and in mysterious things. I remember Mion once told me that she was studying the village's legends of man-eating demons out of curiosity. I think she discovered a very important secret about the village through her studies. Or maybe she wasn't even close to the truth, but they thought she was. Wait a second. What's the secret of this village you're talking about? I just read a few of her scrapbooks, but those were the ones that she was handling with extra caution. So I think there are pretty important things written in them. I think I know about 80% of what Mio-san was trying to uncover. But if it's true, it's almost too crazy to believe. Right now I'm trying to find out whether Mio-san's theory is right or not. So, what is it? What is the secret of this village? What could be so important that you might get killed just by knowing about it? I gasped the moment those words left my mouth. If Rena told me, I might get killed too. I don't want to tell you yet, but I promise I will once I verify things. Because it's really crazy, too crazy to be true. What do you mean? You have to verify things. For example, I myself serve as verification that the maggot disease can occur without any background knowledge. But there are a lot of things I still need to verify. Okay, I understand not wanting to tell me. One, for the sake of not getting me on anyone's hit list, like Mio was. And I understand not wanting to put the idea in my head for this to occur, but you tell me this. Let me explain this. Your secret is like a can of Pepsi. And by saying this, you have literally just popped the tab. So at this point, let me drink the Pepsi. Tell me everything. Like, if you were not going to tell me everything, Then don't say this part. Everything you said up to that point was fine. Like, once you said this sentence, now you have to tell me everything. They sound too crazy to be true, and I can hardly believe them if I don't verify that they are. Maggots? I was totally lost now, and I wanted to ask her some questions, but I decided not to cut in. It was so hot outside. But Rena held her arms as if she was cold. Rena, I'm always on your side. You can trust me. Yay! Thank you. I really appreciate it. From her expression alone, I could tell that she really meant it. I could also tell that she was involved in something very big, and that she felt lonely, because she couldn't tell anybody else about it. I had to be on her side while she was going through a difficult time. You shouldn't tell anybody that you met me here today. They might try to hurt you if they found out. Oh, okay. Isn't there anything I can do to help? Not right now. But it's very reassuring that I can ask you for help when I need it. I'll depend on you someday. Yeah. Anytime. Shh. A car is coming. Rena pushed my head into the bush. I went along with it and crouched down even lower in the bushes. We stayed quiet for a while. I could hear a car coming close, and after a while a white van passed by. I was surprised at hearing. She heard the car coming when it was still far off in the distance. Did you see its license plate number? What? No, I'm sorry. I didn't. I couldn't either, but I think it's the same car I saw earlier. Are there ones following you? I think so. It passed by me many times today on the street, where nobody usually drives. I hit every time, but it's strange. Are they the ones? Are they the ones who killed Takano-san, Tomotage-san? Are they looking for the scrapbooks you have? Most likely, yes. I don't blame her for not being able to believe what's going on. Because this really is crazy. Takano-san uncovered something really insignificant through her studies. The people who want that information hidden found out, and they killed her on the night of the Tanagashi copying the curse of Rishiro-sama. They're looking for the scrapbooks, the fruit of research, and Rena has them. That's why they're trying to kill Rena? What about your house? It's safe there. I hid the scrapbooks in my secret hideout at the garbage dump. I'm worried about my father, but he'll be fine because he really doesn't know anything. Aha. It's written on your face, Kiichikun. It says, I can't believe it because it sounds too crazy to be true, am I right? I wanted to deny it, but I felt bad to lie. I remained silent in the affirmative. Well, that's a normal reaction. I couldn't believe any of it when I read the first scrapbook. I finally started seeing the connections after reading all of them. I'm sorry, I do want to help you, but I just don't know how. If I don't see the whole picture of what's going on. If I tell you, it might put you in danger. You're already in danger, right? I don't mind. Don't worry about me. Okay. I'll tell you then. It's probably the three families who killed Mio-san and Tomotage-san. To be more specific, it's the Sonozaki family, Michan's family. Why? You know about the series of mysterious deaths, right? Of course, the traitors of the dam conflict die every year, right? The series of mysterious deaths is like a resolution of the dam conflict. They're trying to end the dam conflict. In the true sense of the term, by erasing people who betrayed the village. It does look like that in a way. Nobody really says it out loud, but everybody is suspicious that the Sonozaki family is behind it. That's what I've heard. But if they really wanted to erase the traitors, they wouldn't have to do it on the night of the Watanagashi. Why don't they kill them all at once instead of killing them one by one, using the curse and deeming them away every year? Wouldn't that make more sense? I've never heard the words deeming away before, but Rena clearly thought that they have some kind of creepy, significant meaning, so I decided not to cut in. That means that they're using the series mysterious deaths in order to resurrect the sacredness of the Tanagashi festival. Step by step, they're reviving the sacred nature of the Onokafushi that was lost in the Meiji era. Their goal is to revive the level of belief in Oyashiro-sama that used to exist in primitive times. Belief in Oyashiro-sama? Are you talking about the Furude Shrine? Yes. Do you think people revere the Furude Shrine now? Elder people respect the shrine, but that's it. Kids think of it as a place to play, and most of the villagers think of it as a place to gather for local events. Its sacredness has been lost. But with the dam conflict, it started to revive. And they took it as a good opportunity to bring back the cult of Oyashiro-sama. So, you're saying that some fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers are behind all this? That's what I'm saying. The cult of Oyashiro-sama was managed by the three families, to begin with. The three families passed down the ultimate goal of reviving the cult of Oyashiro-sama down to the present generation. When you think about it, you'll understand why the three families took the initiative in uniting the villagers during the dam conflict and why they set up the Onokafushi Guardian's office in the Furude Shrine, citing that Oyashiro-sama, who was almost forgotten at the time. So the three families, the fanatical Oyashiro-sama worshippers, orchestrated the series of the mysterious deaths in Namizawa. But wait, why would they kill Takano-san? Because she discovered the important secret of this village. The three families have been hiding it since the era of the Onokafushi. If the secret is revealed, the sacredness of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. They found out what Namio-san was getting close to the secret, and that's why they killed her. What's this important secret? I don't care if I put myself in danger. I need to know. I don't want to tell you yet. I don't want to tell you until I'm 100% sure about it. I'm pretty sure that right now you just laugh. Hey, do you think I'm that kind of guy? I just need a little more time. Tell me now. I can't accept the truth myself because it sounds so impossible. So I need some time, please. I understand. Don't tell anybody about what we talked about today. Not even me-chan, Rika-chan, or Satoko-chan. Oh, okay. Well, you should go now. I'll take a look around for a while before I go home. I can't be too careful anymore. Rena ducked low in the bushes and moved away. I was left alone there. The cries of the cicadas surrounded around me, making it seem as if I was alone there the whole time. I started walking, still dumbfounded. In the end, Rena didn't tell me the secret because she was afraid of putting me in danger. But she told me clearly that there are people who want to resurrect the cult of Oyashiro-sama, and that they are among the three families that control the entire village. They orchestrated the series of mysterious deaths. For that purpose, they killed Takano-san, because she got too close to the secret they were wanted to hide. Rena met Takano-san and happened to obtain her scrapbooks, in which Takano-san wrote about her research. Rena still can't believe the secret written in the scrapbooks because it's just too crazy. Hey, come on, Rena. You're kidding me, right? It's like one of those comic book stories. A mysterious occult group is plotting a conspiracy. I mean, it's not funny, even if it's a joke. But Rena is right about one thing. Even if this is true, it's really hard to believe. I understand why Rena wanted to wait to tell me the secret. Maybe she was just fooled by Takano-san. But Takano-san was murdered for real. So is it also true that someone is following Rena, looking for the scrapbook? I remember Rena said that a white van was following her. You can see white vans anywhere. I bet there are a lot in this village alone. She might just be oversensitive to everything right now. Rena hasn't recovered from the shock since that day. That's probably why she got the idea in her head that the police or someone else is coming after her. I didn't cut in while she was talking. I think I did the right thing. If I had said that it was ridiculous or something to her face, Rena wouldn't trust it in me ever again. At that point, however, I gasped. A white van was parked on the side of the street. I wasn't sure if this was the same car that passed by earlier, since I didn't see the plate number, but the number of people in the car and the ambience of it was similar to the one earlier. And there's one thing that looks suspicious about it. There was no reason to park here. It was on a small road in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around here. No traffic lights, no vending machines, and no public phones. I probably wouldn't notice it under ordinary circumstances, but I felt something was wrong, and once I noticed how odd it was definitely suspicious. There were 4 men in work uniforms in the white van. The driver was smoking a cigarette, but the other 3 men were just sitting there doing nothing. If they wanted to take a break or have a smoke, they could have chosen a better place than here. It was possible they stopped because they had to go to the bathroom really badly, but it didn't seem that way either. They didn't look as comfortable or relaxed like they would if they were taking a break. They looked like they were waiting for something to happen. They were deep tension in that car. There was a deep tension in that car. Could they possibly be waiting for Rena? No way. I didn't see anybody walking around here. This road is a back road. Nobody really uses this road, let alone my car. But it's impossible here. I felt bad for Rena to even think about it, but this must be something that she got into her head because she's feeling victimized or something. She must be imagining things because she's still nervous from when her friends caught her in the act of killing Reina and Tepe. Hey, young man. Heard someone say that when I passed by the van. He couldn't mean me. He didn't even know who I was, so I assumed he was talking to one of the other people in the car. I pretended I didn't hear it, and I kept walking by, and then he said it again, and honked the horn as well. Hey, young man, excuse me, are you on your way home from school? He had a strong accent similar to that of the older villagers. He must live here, but I didn't know him. I could tell he didn't know me either because he didn't call me by name. Yes, I am. You've been walking this road all the way back from school, right? You turned the corner right where the stationery store is, right? Yes. So? They were probably lost, I thought. This village has many small turns, and you can get easily lost when you try to take a shortcut. So they must have been waiting for someone to ask for directions. But then he said something disturbing. Young man, didn't you see a girl on the way here? Huh? What? A girl with a white hat and white clothes, with a purple ribbon on it. Did you see her? They were definitely talking about Rena. No, I didn't. I wasn't ready to hear them ask that. Rather, I was scared. That's why my voice got all shaky. Up until that point, I couldn't believe Rena's story. I thought it was ridiculous. I actually laughed, if only to myself. That's why I wasn't ready at all. My heart was beating fast, and I was sweating all over. I immediately answered, no, I didn't, but it might have sounded like an obvious lie. The driver stared into my eyes. He looked like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or not, and my legs started to shake. I felt like a frog under the glare of a snake, and I couldn't even move a muscle for a while. But I think the same went for those men, too. They were clearly a suspicious group, and they just asked a villager about a girl out of the blue. Anybody would get suspicious. And I was right. The man broke the ice and started making excuses before I even asked him why he wanted to know about the girl. Well, I was asking for no particular reason. We just passed by a girl earlier, but you're a boy. So we were just wondering. Oh, okay. Please forget. Sorry for the trouble, young man. We're off. The man started the engine and drove away. After they left, I saw nothing. That's right, nothing. There was no reason why they had to park there. So, were they really waiting for Rena? Mystery Machine. Be drawn further into the conspiracy. Furthermore, it's important that we closely monitor her father, since he has also suffered mental shock from the divorce and has been trying hard to take care of the patient there's a strong possibility that he may develop an induced delusional disorder. As the first step of mental care, one should listen to the patient's story carefully without denying it. That's the most basic of basics. However, when the patient and listener are related, it's easy for the listener to become deeply influenced by the patient's delusions. Additionally, delusional parasitosis is widely known to make people highly impressionable, and the influence sometimes can spread throughout a whole community. Therefore, even if several people claim to acquire a parasitic infection, it doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a parasite. Some of the phone calls to health care centers, the examination of pests, are nothing but a mass delusion. Since the subject matter of the delusion in this case is extremely rabid, the patients might harm or even kill each other in abnormal ways, believing that this to be the treatment for the disease. They might also give up hope and commit suicide together in the worst case. This influential delusional disorder, otherwise known as a shared psychotic disorder, shows a particularly strong possibility of influencing close companions. Anyone who is going to contact the patients must be made to understand the patients are under medical treatment and must be warned not to be influenced by the patient's delusions. Individuals who are likely to be easily influenced are the patient's family members and people who deeply care about the patients, such as boyfriends or girlfriends. I should apologize, Rena. I don't think I believed you. I'm really sorry about that. It's okay, Kiichikun. I'm just glad we didn't get caught. Who are they? Are they pawns to those religious fanatics, or are they trying to revive the cult of Ushiro-sama? I think they don't realize that they're pawns, but I'm sure the masterminds are using them as such. They must be the ones who have been pulling strings from behind the scenes ever since the dam conflict. I heard that people working for the Sonozaki family did something similar during the dam conflict itself. Yes, everyone knows that. Oishi-san told me that. There was a kidnapping incident during the dam conflict. The case hasn't been disclosed to the public. But anyway, someone kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and coerced the minister into promising to put a halt to the dam construction. The grandson of the minister was kidnapped? Hey, I've never heard about that before. The minister submitted to their demands, and they made a deal behind the scenes. That's why the incident never went public. Oishi-san only knows because he was in charge of the case. Okay. And according to Oishi-san, between the kidnapping of the minister's grandson and blackmailing him, their tactics were frighteningly advanced. The police know the Sonozaki family gave the orders to the kidnappers, but the case still remains unsolved. At that time, the head of the Sonozaki family, Oryu, had announced a plan to fight against the dam project by force. She even formed a special attack corps using the Yakuza group that's under the Sonozaki family's command. You do realize the more and more like this stuff is this way, it's all the more reason why it should have been easy for them to just kill Teppei and Rina. She was very serious about this plan to put the Ministry of Construction down by brute force if she couldn't stop the construction. Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam construction project even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't so surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan sounded just like her. In the end, the plan ended up as nothing more than that. But the Special Attack Corps actually did undergo training, at a very high level at that. Oishi had uncovered the information right after the damn conflict ended. At the time, Oryu even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Onagafushi Guardians would choose to stay in their homes and drown. So because Oryu was behind those things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the damn conflict started to heat up, in case the resistance wasn't successful. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training. For the sake of that plan, the Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Oryu for the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryu after they came back from America. They were involved in many unsolved terrorist incidents, and they succeeded in kidnapping the grandson of the minister as well. It sounds like it's from a movie or something. Do you remember Michan said that she could do anything, from flying helicopters to using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Michan joined in their training. So that was all true. Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe that F-Squad actually exists in Imazawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of the government minister. I didn't take a close look at the four men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional, in a way. They were pretending just to be on break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you? I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already. So what do they want? Are they after Takano-san's scrapbooks? Like you saw yourself, the group was very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep. They haven't done that yet, so that must mean they're taking it cautiously. They're probably not sure if I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mio-san and tried to dispose of them, but they found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the one who has them. But they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence. Rena, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game. Yeah, I'm a bit scared, but they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case anything. You know, since I'm already involved, Rena, you should mention to Detective Oishi that I'm, cooperating with you, and maybe next time you meet him, I can come too. What did he say about them? He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family, so he could catch them right away if they were working behind the scenes. Did you tell him about the scrapbooks? No, I didn't. I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you. Keiichi-kun? I can't even tell you the secret of the village, because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me, even if I told me. He doesn't... Rena... I'm open... Even if I don't believe it's true, it doesn't mean I don't believe you. It means I don't believe the books. It's an issue of, I can trust you. But do I trust Mio Takano? And the same thing with Oishi. We don't need Oishi to trust either of us. We just need him to know, hey, here's this book that the victim of a murder wrote. And even if none of the three of us believe what was wrote, we at least know that Mio believed it, and that she wrote it. And that whoever killed her also believes it. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be something that both Mio and the people that killed her believe. Rena, let's not make it more confusing than it already is. Just tell me, what is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mio-san? Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbook are true, the god they worship will be dethroned. Their god? Dethroned? Yes, the sanctity of Oyashiro-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect people's belief in Oyashiro-sama. Miranda, can you explain it a little more simply than that? I'm confused. In other words, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god. He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain. But whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believe so strongly in Oyashiro-sama. There are many teachings of Oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village. Don't let anybody into the village. One could even say the rest of his teaching were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. Okay, how does the village ever grow? It technically didn't. On the one hand, I did come to the village, but then again, Keiichi was born here as a little baby. It really wasn't until later that they add aspects like love your neighbor, viewing them as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity. In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from outside disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all that for them, but the truth is the people abused his name for that purpose, generation after generation, nothing more than that. Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came over to Gifushi Swamp and attacked people. In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked each other when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp. Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, and controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. I mean, technically that's a lot of things, both in movies and in real life. I mean, technically rabies is a thing. And then there's also The Last of Us. I mean, technically any sort of parasite, virus, bacteria, chemical poisoning that would influence the brain and the mental functioning of a person could cause them to become more violent and, of course, spread or even just mass psychosis. Sometimes people just being around someone who's psychologically unwell or causing a stressful situation will cause the other people to also react in kind. Stressed out people do not behave rationally. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into the demons as well. That is the truth of the story. The demons came out from Gifushi Swamp. It actually explains the legend. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country? Yes, that's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. He came to Onagafushi, he treated the infectious disease, but he couldn't cure it for good. All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there's no way to kill the parasites that infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the unaffected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of the water sources, including Onagafushi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for the location of the ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, the infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both those who were infected and those who were decided to live together equally and coexist with the parasite. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them. And that's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village with the lives of both humans and demons. That's right. And Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. Almost like a quarantine zone. The rules were to never leave the village and never let anybody into the village. Well, I mean, yeah, that's literally the rules of a quarantine zone. I understand why he didn't want to let anybody new into the village. It was to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else. But I don't understand why he didn't want people to leave. It seems the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of symptoms in order to prevent those hosts from leaving the village whenever they try. Or it's the fact that your body gets a certain saturation of the parasite, and the parasite can live in harmony with the body, and it can eat brain tissue and cause further deterioration, but it usually just eats more exposure of the worms, staying in harmony with the body. It's just if it gets deprived of a food source, it has to resort to eating brain tissue, or if the brain secretes a massive amount of adrenaline from, stressful circumstances, that things go bad. That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they were brought him back by any means necessary. That was what it meant to be demoned away. Wait a second, Rena. That means everybody in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after leaving Hinamizawa. You're right. That's because things went as Oyashiro thought they would. Do you understand? He isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite. Hosts are very important parasites. If something happens to a host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host too. I see. You're talking about natural selection. Good thinking, Keiichi-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to host violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of humans. Adaptability and survival. Anyway, that's written in the Legend of Oyashiro. So, that means the parasite is almost harmless now. Yes. According to Mio-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. It depends on the local food culture. For example, about 80% of the people who live in a country where meat is the staple food are infected by parasites, but because the parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them, treats them, or tries to get rid of them. I see. In olden times, Watanagashi was called Harwada Gash, guts. It is said that people back then used to eat the guts of the infected people who went crazy. It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do. Eating the infected people? Are you talking about a vaccine? Ah, you're very smart, Keiichi-kun. Mio-san also interrupted it just like you did. In the legend, it says that people cut open the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. Also, because the parasite quickly dies after the person, so technically you have to, if you're going to get the parasites out, you have to get it out while the person's still alive. You kill the person, then everything's gone. They created a vaccine for the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites, and that helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system. Who was Oyashiro-sama, a scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he a German? Is the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who survived a shipwreck? I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort. He was an alien. It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind old legends. Either that or a lolly god. Heh. I don't think that Rena's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard of any theories that explain the legend of the village better than this one. I'm infected by the parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. A person is like a universe. We have countless numbers of bacteria in our body. Some of those bacteria are essential for us staying alive. Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see. This is also what Mio-san wrote in her scrapbooks, termites, right? They eat wood, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, termites can absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites. I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively, but now I know that some of them aren't so bad. I mean, technically there's more bacteria inside our body than there is actual human cells. Like if you were able to actually count how many, physical cells you have for like your skin, your organs, your teeth, your bones, your brain tissue, your muscles, and then count the amount of cells that are bacteria, there's actually more bacteria inside you than there is you. Though most of it tends to be in our intestines. And we actually do need that. Heck, cows technically have 4 stomachs. Also, they can digest grass, but that's because they have special enzymes inside them. Also, the 4 stomachs. But they have special enzymes inside their stomachs that allow them. Whereas humans, literally, we can't. Our bodies can't do that. So the weird infectious disease that broke out on fish has been exterminated by now? Well, I shouldn't say exterminated. I'd say it's harmless now. I thought it was a crazy story at first, but now I feel like just some trick behind it, some crazy magic that's interesting. It is to us, but for the cult of Oishiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory. Of course. If Takano-san's theory is correct, Oishiro-sama isn't a god, and the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oishiro-sama, that people have been so afraid of will turn out just to be the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. So that's what dethroning God would mean. So if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of Oishiro-sama would be completely lost. That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Mio-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that she was killed. So that must mean she identified it. Maybe she did, but she's gone and she didn't say anything about that in her scrapbooks. The only reason I can think of it, though. But it's the end of the 20th century. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical instruments and institutions by now. I've never heard of anyone discovering a weird parasite that. I know. It's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet. Technically, the parasites disintegrate as soon as the host dies, and it's mainly concentrated in the brain. Which means you'd have to actively cut open a person's brain while they're still alive. Because even if you cut it open immediately after they die, it's not going to work. But in fact, there's evidence that there's some kind of parasite involved. Hinamizawa syndrome. What? It's a mix of various real-life psychological conditions. Most closely paranoid schizophrenia, but other things are included. When a parasite enters a human body, the body's immune system cells, no idea. I understand how to say macrophages, but I don't know how to say this. Try to kill the parasite. They secrete an antibody called immunoglobulin. Yeah, antibodies are a way to know what illnesses are present in a person. The most common way of checking if a person is affected by a pathogen, look for levels of the secretion. Yeah, I know that. According to Kano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. Stimulates mast cells that secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract. As a result, it stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, or stops secreting chemical compounds. As a result, antibody reaction, and an allergic reaction doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of IgE but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. You get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of, because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. As a result, okay, I didn't know that. As a result, a large amount of stimulants, like histamine, will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete. As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions. That's how hay fever works. I mean, it's kind of like how your body has a fever to try to kill viruses or bacteria, like you're sick. Your body heats up your core temperature to try to kill, the illness. But the problem is, yes, the illness can't handle it, but neither can you. It's just a fucking war of attrition. If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your suppressed secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here. So we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence. Yes, that's right. That's true. Scrapbooks are a big threat to the believers of Yoshiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence. Yeah. It poses a big enough danger to them to make sure that it's worth killing Takano-san. This really is a scary secret. I believe it's because you took the time to explain to me, but if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it really would have sounded too crazy to believe. I told you. I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't. So what's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try to cover up the truth, right? Well, here's the thing. If their motivation is to kill us, to suppress the truth, then the obvious course of action would be to tell Oishi. Because at that point, they can't kill us to suppress the truth, because the truth's already out, which means it'd be pointless to kill us. So we should tell the detective. Plus, I don't know about Dr. Irie, though. I mean, he is a doctor, but also... But he's our friend. Can we trust him? But can we trust him? Harvey Dent. Can we trust him? Yes, that's the important thing. Most, the fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship, reviving the majesty of their god, means reviving the power of that god. And the power of their god is the infectious disease. This infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I want to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better, since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of the current day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's been through a process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. I mean, technically the same is true of the Black Plague, the bubonic plague, because technically the plague still exists, but it's different. And granted, yes, it's very, very rare, but from what they've studied historically, with the way the old bubonic plague behaved, and the way the samples they have nowadays in modern era, scientists concluded that, one, the current samples of bubonic plague that we have, and any existing cases that do occur, our current bubonic plague is less infectious and less deadly. Whereas the one in the past, not only have humans adapted a little bit more, but also the one that existed back then was naturally much more, it spread more and it was more deadly. In the end, I think it's the same as with this. The version of the disease that was less deadly survived because it didn't kill its host as much, whereas the one that was more deadly usually killed its host before it could reproduce. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of a god, so harmless endemic disease means that the god is powerless. This means the only way to regain the majesty is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful, strong version of the parasite. Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite, but you're saying that they're researching the parasite. That's contradictory, isn't it? I know it is. I think that's the research is a secret only the head of the fanatic is aware of. From the outside, they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity, and they're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands. I get it now. Oh my god, this is getting crazier and crazier. I didn't say it in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns. The Irie Clinic? Why? The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Mio-san was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist and the Sonozaka family recruited. It can't be. I think Mio-san was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place, and he's researching the primitive form of the endemic disease. It's hard to believe that the coach we know of is capable of doing things like that. I'm sorry, he might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess, but someone is doing the research somewhere. That much is certain. Well, I'd say more likely is this. Compartmentalization. More than likely, if someone's doing research at a place like that, it'd be quite possible to do that and not have even the owner of the building or the head doctors be aware of it. In the same regard, you can also have delegation of certain tasks of a top secret confidential project, and each person's doing a vital, important, irreplaceable piece of the project, but none of them know what it's really being used for as a whole. That, if you combine the different pieces, you can see the bigger picture. But if you combine a very top secret confidential project into a bunch of different groups, well, no one knows what's actually going on, and they only know their one little thing. And without any context, they don't know what they're actually doing. I think a lot of governments and corporations and militaries do that sort of stuff. Any sufficiently big organization would do such a thing. But it's a way to have people that are professionals work on your task, but have them not know what they're actually doing. It's called compartmentalization. The first case was the dismemberment murder by the dam construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms of the aggression and delirium might have kicked in. Well, also, spoilers, by the way. Light spoiler, actually massive spoilers. Skip ahead 30 seconds in the video if you don't want to be spoiled. Mio Takano-san isn't dead. She faked her own death. She's actually researching the parasite to prove its existence for scientific journals, and she wants to make it more prevalent in order to prove its existence. She has like 100 Nazi soldiers working for her. And the dam construction guy, he wasn't killed by people infected by the disease, but rather he was having a seizure from the disease. And Mio and Dr. Irie and Tomotaki cut open his skull to try to find the worms in time. And they briefly found them, but then the guy died because they did a very poor job at keeping somebody alive while cutting open their brain. Turns out, brain surgery is difficult, even for trained professionals. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled mention, but there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence to the observation fell from quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite, or she might have become violent and pushed the other off a cliff? The Shishin priest died from the disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of hypersensitive reaction to the infection. He was really old. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide, which one of the symptoms of delirium kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi's Hojo aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of both being aggressive and delirious. In the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease, described in the old scrolls of Furuta Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victim a delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama after 5 years of research. Tomotaki-san is the victim of the fifth year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his own throat to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I lived in Namizawa and made the parasite within me uncomfortable. As a result, I tried to resist it even though it wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusions of Shirosama appearing to me in my bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence of Shirosama that I was instilled with when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Ogifushi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as the acts of God. I remember I once saw on TV that indigenous people of South Africa used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience that they call the ritual to communicate with their gods. So, what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa. I mean, that's another thing that says this. There are some types of drugs that people say give you, psychic experiences, but one, a lot of those, some will be deadly or cause brain damage. Some don't. Obviously, you should research stuff thoroughly, but main point being is this. The question is this. If a drug causes you to see something supernatural, there's two questions. One, is it simply an altering of your brain chemistry that makes you see hallucinations of things that aren't real? Or is it a alteration of your brain chemicals that allows you to see things that are always there, but you're not normally physically capable of seeing? It'd be like, imagine if you went up to someone who's colorblind and you had a medication that if they took the medicine, they could see colors. But if they stopped taking the medicine, they could no longer see the colors and they went back to being colorblind. It's not that the colors stopped existing or were never real or even just hallucinations, but that the colors always existed. You just couldn't see it. Heck, imagine if there was a drug that allowed human beings to see ultraviolet light, or infrared, or to see chemicals in the air. So it wouldn't be that you're seeing a hallucination, so much as you're seeing something that normally is always there, but you can't normally see. Then there's another question. If you think of things in a supernatural way, then you have to bring in the idea of souls and spirits and things like that. Here's another question. If you're talking about seeing something like a ghost, like imagine if there was a drug that allowed humans to see ghosts. Well, obviously, it would mean either the drug is causing an hallucination and the person is seeing something that doesn't exist and they're imagining the ghost, or that the ghosts are always there and the drug simply allows you the ability to see what is always there to begin with. But then there's also a bit of a darker consideration taking place, is this. If you're talking about supernatural things, well, here's a question. The biggest question of all, in fact. Does a soul emit energy? Does a brain emit energy? And for example, if you had a drug that allowed humans to see ghosts, would it be possible that by doing so, that you would alter the state? First off, if you had a drug that could allow human beings to see ghosts, well, technically, what about the human soul that's in people? If you gave people a drug that allowed them to see ghosts, then technically if you were to look at a living human being, would you then be able to see their soul? Would you be able to see the soul of the living? Because after all a ghost is a person who doesn't have a physical body anymore, but the spirit remains. Technically, living humans are a physical body that's alive, that's still living in conjunction with their spirits, their spiritual soul. Which means, hypothetically, if you had a drug that allowed human beings to see ghosts, would it allow you to see the souls of living people? What about animals? Sense life in general. But the other question is this. Any chemical that you take in your body, the question is this. 1. Would a drug that allows a human being to see a ghost possibly cause brain damage or a heart attack or something? Or cause physiological symptoms in the body? Possibly become addictive? Or be a poison? Would it alter the physical brain in the body? Would it kill the person? But also, would it alter the soul of the person taking the drug? Furthermore is this. What if you gave a human a drug that would allow them to see ghosts, what if it would alter the energy remitted by the human person, by the human's body, by the human soul? Like a bonfire in the middle of a forest. What I mean by that is this. What if, in addition to allowing a human being to see ghosts, it also drew them to that person? Like, whatever it altered in the person to make them be able to see ghosts might create like an energy signature that would draw ghosts to them. I think a good way to put it would be like a flashlight in a forest. If you're in the middle of a dark forest, you can't see anything. Can't see anything. Just because you can't see anything doesn't mean there aren't deer and wolves and owls and squirrels running around. But you can't see them. But just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. Now, if you turn on the flashlight, well, you now can see them. But the problem is this. They can see the flashlight. And furthermore is this. There could be that, say if you had night vision, you could just see in the dark in the forest. Maybe there would only be a few deer around you. But all of a sudden you're emitting this light, and now imagine the forest is full of deer that all are like attracted to the flashlights like fucking moths are. That's another way to put it. Imagine you're in the middle of a forest, and it's known for having tons of moths, but you can't see the moths. But that doesn't mean the moths aren't there. But then you light a huge lamp. Well, the light from the lamp lets you see the moths. And of course, there would have been a few around you no matter what. But now, because the lamp's there, all of them fucking swarm you. Because of the lamp. Because they see the lamp. And they're drawn to the lamp. Basically, they're not only is the lamp very noticeable, but the lamp is very desirable. What if there were a drug that allowed human beings to see ghosts, but then that made the human being, who now has the ability to see the ghosts, be much more noticeable by ghosts, and perhaps even more desirable to be around, almost like they're a magnet now, drawing more ghosts to them. So the idea is that the drug not only allows you to see the ghosts, but now it starts making ghosts swarm you, so that not only can you see ghosts, but there's more to see because they're gathering around you because of that. Furthermore, then there'd be a question of this. What if it only affected certain ghosts? Like, what if you had a drug that allowed you to see ghosts, but it only allowed you to see bad ghosts, malevolent ghosts? And it also drew those to you. Heck, imagine this. What if you had a drug that allowed you to see demons? But only demons. Only evil spirits. You couldn't see good ones or neutral ones or just like you're like a family member or something. All you could see was like the souls of like serial killers or something like that. Or evil things. But in addition to that, it drew the evil things to you that otherwise would have just ignored you. Or heck, imagine if you were looking for aliens. But let's say there was like 30 different types of aliens. You now have a way to find aliens, but you're now only able to see the bad ones, and you're also they're like being drawn to you. I don't know. I think that's their goal. But I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies. So if they created what they wanted to create, and if they decided to spread it, I think they'd name it the day of Oishiro-sama's revival or something, and they'd perform some kind of ceremony. It would be in celebration of the revival of Oishiro-sama. That's a bad thing, isn't it? I think you can say that because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen. Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jeez, this is very bad. They used it on Tomitaki-san, confirming that they succeeded in duplicating the curse of Oishiro-sama, so that day of revival might be really soon. I don't know. It could happen in a few days, or it might take a year. This is way out of your league, Rena. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. We have to report to the police. Do you think they will believe us? Oishi will. It's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them. Keiichi-kun, telling Oishi-san about all this means telling him that I have the scrapbooks. Do you think that'd be a problem? Oishi-san came to me after Mio-san was murdered. When they killed Mio-san, they found out that her scrapbooks were missing. And they also know that she met me at the library a few days ago. No way. You mean... Yes. Oishi-san could be one of them. It's possible Oishi-san thinks I have scrapbooks and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me that he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonozaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side, and that he's actually their minion. Okay, Rena, while I'm still on your side, what do we do? But the police are our only hope. Keiichi-kun, you know about the case in the 4th year, don't you? Satoshi-kun's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that? Some of the fanatics are with the police, and they fabricated the murderer. Okay, I'll say this. I think we could trust Oishi, but I would say this. It would make sense that some of the police would be in on it. So I would say Oishi would be on our side, but there would probably be some police officers in the police station that would be, probably spying on him. Fabricated murder? Same as with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from disease and inspection and accident where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side... Yeah. It opens the door to many perfect crimes. The 3 families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the damn conflict. You've heard from Michan that they've also have considerable power over many organizations in Okonomiya, right? Yes, I have. It's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me that the Sonozaki family holds influence over the whole city. That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here. Rana, please, I want to make one thing clear before we go on. Are the Sonozaki family the masterminds behind all this? Does that mean Mion is involved too? Please tell me. I don't know if Mi-chan or Rika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all 3 families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the 3 families, or the 3 families are the fanatics themselves. As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying? Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Mi-chan. She's usually very reliable, and I'd ask her for help with any problem. But not this one. This one is a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but... Although Mi-chan jokes around when she's with us, she can be a very cold person when she's acting as a successor of the Sonozaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about this. If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her. No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we've confirmed that she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't? So, how are we going to fight against them? Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want to get you involved. Damn it! Takano-san left us a big parting gift, didn't she? But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will. 2 kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village. This is going to be tough. Ordinary methods won't work. But Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. But we can talk about it and plan things together. Of course. I've always been on your side, and I'm your friend. I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring. 2 heads are better than 1. Yeah, I agree. We can come up with a plan for now. We're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again, but I'm going to school again tomorrow, and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very perceptive. Okay. I'll act normal, as if I know nothing. But damn, I'm a bit scared. A huge conspiracy is right around the corner, and it might already be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that. I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, if this really are religious fanatics, they need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any other event than Watanagashi, so you're saying that we have the time at least until the next Watanagashi festival? I can't promise, but I just can't think of any event other than that. I think we have a year at least, but I also feel like we don't, because of how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. You mean the volcano exploding? And the volcanic gas poisoning everyone in the village to death? It might not be long until that day. On the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and on that day we might just be around the corner. Rina? Are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon, it's getting late. My father stuck his head out from the living room telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think your parents will be on your side no matter what, but I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway, even if I told him. He'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. They might get close to my father to get to me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with. I'm sorry, Kiichi-kun. I have to go now. It's getting late. I'll see you at school. Okay, see you tomorrow. Be careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore. Yeah, I'll be careful. I remember the suspicious man in the white van, and I felt a chill run through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. If Rena is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. Rena had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up to now. She must sense the danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something like go to the police. But all they were doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself that there was no going back, and I put the phone down. The next day, Rena came to school, acting normal, like she said she would. She talked to Mion as cheerfully as she always did, and it made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was too ridiculous crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult, and they've been researching the pathogen and the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said. But thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me is based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to the story. I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved in some crazy conspiracy. I would say if the Sonozakis are involved, they just haven't told her. So I don't think... I would see it's very possible that Sonozakis are involved, but I don't think they would have told her. Hey, are you listening, Kei-chan? What? Oh, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Ha 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 ha. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Rena told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them, but it might be worth telling her without letting Rena know. No. Of course, there is at least 1% chance the conspiracy is true, and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, the answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't a part of the conspiracy. She'd never be involved in something like that. Again, even if that's true, it's a betrayal of Rena's trust to tell Mion. That's the biggest thing. It would be a betrayal of Rena's trust. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. Yes, but you can't tell her, because it's a betrayal of Rena. So whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about. It's okay to think about that, but don't actually do it. No. What's going on, Kei-chan? Why did you call me out here? You told me not to tell anybody. You're not going to extort money from me, are you? Is that the first thing you think of when you're called to the gymnasium storeroom? This is bad. Oh, I know. You want to give me a love letter, don't you? People usually use a shoe locker for that, you know? We don't really do that in the city. A lot of guys hand over the love letters in person. Really? So wait, you're, Are you kidding me? That's not why I called you here. I mean, at this point, honestly, that might be a good way to recover from this. Like, you realize how fucking stupid it was? But then again, Rena's... Like, this is bad. This is bad. Like, obviously, it's a good idea to want to tell her, but the fact of the matter is this. It's a betrayal of Rena's trust. This is a bad idea. I have talked to you about something very important. I want you to listen without making fun of me. What is it? Do you know about there are people who want to revive the... Fuck. Do you know that there are people who want to revive the cult of Oyoshiro-sama? Huh? What are you talking about? This, of course, is just my way of getting a feel for the situation. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if only just a little. Either Mion was a brilliant actress, or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyoshiro-sama. Like I said, I believe that she's not involved, but one, we're endangering her, and two, it's a betrayal of Rena. We're betraying Rena. I decided to tell her about Mion. Your family of Sonosaka has a lot of influence in the region, including Hanamizawa, right? Do you think there's a possibility that they're working to revive the cult of shows behind the scenes? Revive? Why? Well, you know, people today don't worship Oyoshiro like the people in the old days did. So people like fundamentalists trying to maybe worship Oyoshiro the same way as Onokafushi. What? Wait a second. I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you sure? You really have no idea what I'm talking about? Also, is there a possibility that it's Shion pretending to be Mion at this point? Is this actually Mion? Or is it Shion? Of course I don't. It sounds like one of those popular novels that sold 5 million copies over in America. Mion's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I continued. Well, there are people like that in this village for real. Do you know anything about them? You're saying that those people want to make us worship Oyoshiro like the people who Fushi did. What good will that do? You know, I think it means a lot to people who really believe. But think about it, Kei-chan. Who would be happy to live under those strict ancient rules? In this day and age, it's almost impossible to live without leaving the village. But for example, think about Rika-chan. All the old people say she's the reincarnation of Oyoshiro-sama, right? Those people might be religious fanatics and... Are you talking about the old man, Kimiyoshi? Well, I know he's a deeply religious man for sure, but he isn't a fanatic. Believe me, there really are people who are trying to revive the cult of Oyoshiro-sama. Okay, I'll believe you for now, because I want to hear the rest. Go on. They found out about the curse of Oyoshiro-sama. It was just an endemic disease unique to the village, so now they're researching the pathogen. Where? First of all, what's an endemic disease? What's a pathogen? They sound gross. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything she said, but having said it out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded. What's going on with you? Did Mio-san tell you all this? How did you know? She's infamous for this kind of thing. She's an occult maniac. She always makes up crazy stories. A few people have gotten badly taken in by her before. She's told me some of her stories once, and I remember they were actually very interesting. Is that true? I think you've heard about this once or twice before, but the village had a unique culture back in the old days. They did a lot of oppressive things, like having very strict rules, very strict punishments, and a bunch of other cruel traditions, very well known among occult maniacs. Didn't your grandma force you to pull out your fingernails and pull out your sister's fingernails and your mom's fingernails and her own fingernails in an actual underground torture room? Mio-san is one of them. So the story I heard about the weird parasite that controls the village was... What? Parasite? Is that a new story she came up with? What do you mean, new story? I told you, Mio-san is an occult maniac. She studies the weird legends surrounding Onokifushi and enjoys making up hypotheses, theories, and wild stories about them. She created a lot of different ones about the theory of parasites controlling the village. One I heard an awful while ago back was about UFOs. That one was interesting since it connected a lot of different dots. The story was about a UFO that crashed in Otokufushi Swamp. Long ago, the alien was the UFO, the villagers had a battle, or something like that. It was like one of those sci-fi horror B-movies. The one Satoko heard was a theory about creatures from the bottom of the ocean. A movement in the Earth's crust opened up, connection between the underwater world and Otokufushi. And yeah, it's miasma, otherwise known as volcanic gases that have a heavier weight than normal air and also suffocate. Technically that happens, and like there's some largely refrigerated warehouses that have, well, technically the chemicals they use can be explosive, so technically you can have a Blevy type situation. But also there's the fact that should there be a leak, not only do you need to evacuate the building, but there's usually a windsock on top of the building. Because even if you're outside, if you're in the direction the wind blows, you could technically have a bunch of people just passed out in the middle of a field, standing outside of a building. The princess of the underworld fell in love with a young man in the village. It was sci-fi. Okay, technically that's the religious part about... Technically that's Hanyu, and that's an actual ghost that's actually Oyashiro-sama that's been talking to Rika. Yes, Rika sees actual ghosts. And it's a several thousand-year-old space alien lolly, who is actually the ancient ancestor of Rika. Probably the first Furude. The story about the parasites you heard must be a new one. I hope she makes all of them into a book one day. Mion began laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing like that, I realized I fell for something that's ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I had been completely taken in. I'm sorry, Mion, but please answer my questions. First, do the fanatics who are trying to revive the cult of Ushiro-sama exist? No, they don't. I mean, it's totally the opposite. The three families have agreed to open Hinamizawa to outsiders in order to make the village thrive. I'm not supposed to tell anyone about this, but there's a project to build a new highway by the end of the 20th century. The Sonozaki family is promoting its construction without informing the villagers. If all goes well, this whole area will flourish. My grandma is betting she'll make a fortune when it causes land prices in the region to skyrocket. Well, most of the work will happen in the 21st century, so I'll likely end up taking over the project. So you don't think there's people who hate the outsiders? I told you there's no such people. What makes you think we want to make this village more inconvenient than it already is? In fact, we've already started selling the land of the village to rich people who want to build countryside residences here. Your house is on the first lot we sold, Kei-chan. Didn't the villagers welcome you? Three families are trying to do everything they can to stop young people from leaving the village. I mean, technically I was a baby born here initially. So technically I left when I was young like Rena, just I was much, much younger to where I have no knowledge of being from higurashi. In Amizawa. There was nothing vague about what Mion had said. Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories, and so Mion's words woke me up from that delusion. So, what about this? I heard the residents in Amizawa have extraordinary high levels of something in their blood, and it proves they're infected by parasites. Really? How did Mio-san figure this out? Takano-san is a nurse. I'm sure she can do that. And you think anyone would give her blood samples for no reason? Because I sure don't. Even if she could get blood samples somehow. And how and where would she examine them? How many blood samples do you think she examined all by herself? Mion was right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all that just because she was a nurse. Technically, she did. Technically, she's still alive, and she's in the mountains in a large Nazi scientist compound with 100 soldiers. It's like an underground thing via elevator in the clinic. Struck me hard to believe that she got so many blood samples and did a high-level examination like that with any help. When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily. I heard that people here don't get hay fever, which is proof they're being infected by the parasite. Only people in cities get hay fever. I heard it has something to do with fuel emissions. K-Chan, you're talking about Hinamizawa. I mean, even people in Okonomi don't get hay fever, I think. Well, what about this? Heard the Sonozaki family has a death squad. They kidnapped the grandson of the government minister once. Ha 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 ha. That sounds cool. I wish I had a squad like that. Even I was sounding ridiculous. But I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Rena looked very serious. It's true that the grandson of the minister was found in Takatsudo. We didn't do it. We just acted as if we did. What do you mean? Please explain. Okay. The Onikafushi Guardians protested violently during the dam conflict. They did something close to terrorism as well. But there were people who used the resistance movement for their own benefits. They used the name of Onikafushi Guardians to rob people of money and valuables. The Onikafushi were a very aggressive force at the time. There's a high possibility that some people thought they could use the name to extort money. The kidnapping case is one of those incidents. The kidnappers thought they could stifle the police investigation by acting like they were the Onikafushi Guardians. They kidnapped a boy to demand ransom. To tell you the truth, the members of the Onikafushi Guardians were all very surprised. They were actually very impressed that these guys actually pulled it off. I remember they even said they'd give them a reward. Wait a second. Something it had nothing to do with? The kidnapping? No, not at all. Mion said it firmly. It was a simple, clear answer which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onikafushi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but this operation was so easy to be carried out by normal residents in Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt. Like I said earlier, the Sonozaki family acted as if we were the masterminds of the kidnapping case. Your face took a little more serious. Look right there, Mion. What do you mean by that? This is a secret precept of the Sonozaki family. You can't tell anybody about this, okay? When an incident like this happens, we traditionally act as if we're responsible for it. It's a tradition of bluffing. Bluffing? Really? Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it works out in our favor. It can be criminal incident, the weather, or even lottery numbers. We act as if it happened because Sonozaki family wanted it to happen. It starts to sound like we're a very powerful organization. Doesn't it? That's the point. This is the secret strategy that only the Sonozaki family heads know about. This strategy is meant to make us look bigger and stronger than we really are. Wow. So, what about the plan they had during the dam conflict, the one to attack the Ministry of Construction? Was that true? I heard that they obtained weapons and even trained for it. Ha ha ha. That was the spin we put on it. There's no way we could actually carry out a crazy plan like that. Our real goal was to make people believe that we were capable of doing things like that so we could exact pressure on the government. That's all. They obtained weapons and went through training just so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if it did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I'd do was use common sense. Even if they did, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that? What about the weapons and the training? As for the weapons, no comment. But we did go through training. We need to do that in order to make the bluff look real. We gathered some younger men from my father's office and appointed Kasai-san as leader of the group. We went to a desert in Texas, played war games with some instructors, and went sightseeing in San Francisco after. It actually sounds fun. Ha ha ha. So, I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. No! We could have at least parceled this off as just we talked to Mion. We didn't need to name drop Rena. I know Rena and I both were completely fooled by that. Okay, internal dialogue. Thank God. We're not saying this out loud. We have not said anything about Rena. Full of the scrap of constant delusion. Rena was so serious about it too, so I believed her. But if you examined it closer, there were many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Then she came across this tall tale, and she believed it. Rena is a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from the delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to school during lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office. Hello, I'm from the Okonoki Gardeners. Oh, thank you for coming in. It's very hot today, isn't it? Still, why were they looking for Rena? It sure is. By the way, you look very beautiful today as well. I mean, all this means is that, the professionals that are part of a huge organization have a cover story. That's logical. Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The quote and the invoice I see. The date is left blank both by them. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. All right, we'll start right away. The man walked into Chia-sensei with a big smile. What are you doing here, Mamoru-kun? Oh, principal. Who is that guy? The principal pointed his finger at the window. When I looked out, I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw young men in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van. They're gardeners. We haven't taken care of the grass around the fence and the trees for a long time. I wanted to clean them up before summer. Mr. Principal, thank you for giving us a call. The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed. No need. I trust your work. Please take care of things. I think we can finish it today. We might make a lot of noise, though. Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously. Hello? Why do you look... Hey! Hi, Chie-sensei. I don't understand why you have angry expression. Eyebrows are all super angry. And the eyes, like little frown. It's dangerous out here. Go back to your classroom. It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope with documents and it to the principal. It said Okonogi Guardians in a green envelope. Principal, please sign the invoice to drop it off at the next office next time we go to town hall. Of course, will do. Ah, Chie-sensei, did they come here yesterday? Yes, they came here to look at the grass late in the afternoon. They told me they got lost on the way back because they tried to take a shortcut. This village has a lot of small roads branching out everywhere, and they can be very confusing. I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about when she got lost, and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious because of what Rena told me. At first I thought it wasn't unusual to see a white van, but then right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked in the road. I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of the Hanamazawa, and they got lost trying to take a shortcut on the way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around. I believe the fake-sounding story. I believe that the Tsumihoroboshi was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Yeah, but now you're doubting Rena. There has to be a happy middle ground. And there, we can talk to Rena about this. One, Rena, like, how are we going to explain this to her? But even then, is this Mion's her own person. Even if she's not involved in anything at all, she's probably going to say something to people. Like Rena. I'm such a fool. Damn, she's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying that we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, Rena was the problem. Okay, now we're dating Rena, like the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her. Rena seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonosuke family are the masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy. At the very least, we did not mention Rena's name drop. Is this Rena? Because it's like more orangish red. So is it somebody else talking, or is it like the color of the text is like indicative of Rena's deteriorating mental state? I remember the plate number and the white van. I also remember their faces. Without a doubt, this is one of the vans that have been Okay, Rena. So far, I've confirmed 3 of the 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around longest of all. The people who were in the other cars must be lookouts. The ones in the van must be tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in this van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbooks said that too. If so, I better watch out because it was them, not the lookouts who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of the covert operation, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That's why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking with Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of the conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and the movements of the mouse, and I played my memory out like it was videotaped in my mind. Hello! Oh, thank you for coming. It's very hot today, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Something you today, Thank you. Well, you can start whenever you're ready. Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. Something, I see. Left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. Alright, well. I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind. I also paused it to play it in slow motion again to check many times. Then something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. There's no doubt that they're acquainted with Chie-sensei, but I've never seen them visit the school before, so it's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under the direct control of the Sonozaki family. They have the local accent, which proves they were chosen for the Sonozaki Corps. The death squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who is Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa's school was closed, and it was merged with the Okonomiya. But the Onofushi Guardians didn't accept that, and they made a part of the Forest Service building into a school. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher, so it was only going to be token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children and came to work there. That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired, and they don't get demoted. They can work up until an official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education and came to work for Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. Heard that Oryu Sonozaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. Chie-sensei was recruited by Oryu Sonozaki as a teacher to work at the school the Onofushi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Oryu before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person in the region, and he's been closely associated with 3 families for a long time. So that means the school has been under the control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is acquainted with the death squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, and made a phone call and called them here. I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class is over. But they came to the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool, Ryuga. Ryugu. Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Think hard and calm down, Ryugu. What will they try to do to me today in school? In school? How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my clubmates? That's easy too. Chie-sensei can make them go home early. Using her authority as a teacher, she can make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom is going to have carpentry work done today, so they can't stay in school. It sure is. You today, Thank you. Well, we can start whenever you're ready. See, there's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else? Yes, we'll start right away. My account manager told me to give this to you. The XXIC is left blank on. Well, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you so much. I see. They gave Chie-sensei some documents in it. That blank is the eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why is it left blank? What does that mean? I told you, Ryugu. Do you still think nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that. So, what it must mean is that an order from higher up. It says make Ryugu become blank. I took a peek from the shadows and I saw the principal taking documents out from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked very serious. I wish I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. He's probably pissed because they're charging too much. Like, I have to pay you how much to mow the lawn? Though they also, I mean, Renda's not wrong here. They are a death squad. They just don't work for Oryu Sonozaki. They work for Mio Takano-san, who faked her own death and murdered Jiro herself. And I kept looking at him to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said Okanogi Guardians and had some serial numbers on it. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. If they're a death squad, the guarding company must be a camouflage operation. Yeah, it's a cover story. But again, they don't work for the Sonozakis. They work for Takano-san and a group of 100 Nazi soldiers that live in the mountains. It probably doesn't even exist. I went to find out. I looked for a phone. It'd be nice if the internet existed back now. How are you going to find a phone? It's 1983. There's one phone. It's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me. Going to the old teacher's office, I rushed and grabbed the phone at the principal desk. I went over the phone number in my head and dialed it up. I'm glad they have a touch-tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd only have to ask, is this the Okanogi Guardians? I don't have to answer before hanging up. It should be easy. It connected. The number you dialed is... I felt a cold chill run through my body at the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Then did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back at any time. In that situation, I risk to do anything slowly. But I needed to make absolutely sure. The number you dialed is. It's the same. There's no doubt. The company doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation with the Sonozaki family's death squad. Please make sure the number you dialed is correct. The number you dialed is... I was too sad to put down the receiver. The announcement kept ringing over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran into the bathroom, held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Rena Ryugu. Stay cool. Rena Ryugu! I wasn't safe here anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased, even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Yesterday, I told him I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain. What kind of soup, though? Tomato and basil? Mushroom? Chili? I cut up clues, information, and facts just like I did cut vegetables, and I threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating on the surface, and others on the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked in a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun is on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There was no lie then. Yes, I also held it out to Mion and everyone else too. So I trust you, but I also trust Mion. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised me he'd be on by my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I should trust. He's the only one who is on my side right now. I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I was about to doubt you. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I said it out loud on purpose. Full of regret, I doubted Keiichi-kun. The only one who said it was on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not, might not matter to them. Erase anyone who's suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oshiro-sama's revival might be just around the corner, and that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat, by any means before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oryu Sonozaki saying that. Picture? No, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school is over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped from the net, I was in a pond. And they owned the pond. I didn't stand a chance. Then what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should get out of the pond. I didn't know how to fight them. I didn't know who was on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this, so I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of the pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning on the wall. I don't feel good. I think I better go home. Can you tell Chia I'd left school early? I shouldn't let Chia Sensei know that I'm leaving early school if I'm trying to run away from them. But if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead them to chase after me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school was over, but I happened to feel sick and left school early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running. Chie-sensei, take a look at this. Take a look? Is something wrong with the documents? Yes. The date on the quote and the invoice are left blank. They're supposed to be put today's date here. Oh, they wanted to leave them blank? They said they couldn't put the same date on the quote and the invoice. They're told to leave them blank by General Affairs. Okay then, and this is the phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope? Do you know which is the correct one? Oh, I didn't notice that. Hello, excuse me? Yes. What's the matter? The phone number on the invoice is different from the one on the envelope. Which one is correct? Oh, it's the one on the invoice. I used an old envelope we used at our former office. I'm so sorry about that. I told our part-timer to add a stamp with the new phone number, but I guess she forgot. I apologize for the confusion. Can you just erase the number? Wahaha. Fish in a pond. Make the decision to run. Lawnmower! The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, in the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. And it's believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events in understandable form, a delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting slight signs of a personality disorder. Of course, it's a very mild level, and it's not causing any hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in their daily lives, but they usually ignore it automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases where these delusions accumulate despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it's believed that the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're very much aware that the primary delusions are categorized into 3 different kinds. Delusional mood is a feeling of an impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition is the feeling of a sense of duty or goal without basis. Delusional perception is the feeling of a baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it is believed that these incomprehensible delusions accumulated, act out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome, and it's ultimately caused incomprehensible delusions to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusional system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that even after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no change in their personalities. The patients are unaware of their own ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where the patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult to a third party to point out that they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it may depend on the tendency of the delusions, there are also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion, or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult were deeply influenced by the cult founders' paranoid visions, which shifted the group into a conspiracy delusion, and that they made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although no such cases have been reported in Japan yet, it could be very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious condition as of now. With proper treatment, she should be able to make a full recovery. Please make sure that her father also understands this, that this is not an unusual case, but something caused by the accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone could have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. For the reasons above, if the patient is to return to her home village, I strongly recommend that the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. They were... I almost read that as meowing. It's like everyone's like, you could have just not said that and no one would have ever known. I'm like, yeah, but that's just not my style. It's like, hey guys. I was kind of like, they were meowing the grass. They were mowing the grass near the fence, which is probably a cover to monitor the surroundings, just in case I tried to escape from the school. But they must have been thinking that would happen only after school was over. They seemed to have no idea that I'd already noticed their plan was trying to run away at the first moment. I couldn't use the front gate since they see me easily. I moved behind the school building, made sure nobody was around at the curry garden, ran through it, and dashed in the forest. I walked through the dense undergrowth, stepping on dead wood and climbing over fallen trees. After walking through the forest for a while, I came to a small road. I know many back roads in the village because of our club activities, and that knowledge had finally come in handy. So what should I do now? I'm sure the girl already passed on my message to Chie-sensei. Those men must be going crazy by now, knowing that I ran away. Well, given the fact that we've already told Keiichi-kun and we feel we can trust him, and we can't go home, the only logical choice is to go to the Mabura mansion and to sneak into his house. Actually, if his parents are there, we can say, you know how it's been really hot out? I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't want to go home, so it'd be okay if I came here and stay with you guys for a while. You know, we can hash that stuff out later, but yeah. So if Keiichi's parents are home, we simply explain we aren't feeling well or just want to wait there for Keiichi. If not, we either break into the house or we hide in the bushes in front of Keiichi's. Heck, we're already tired. Here's what we should do. We should go into the part of the house that has shade, go behind a bush, and just take a nap. We'll probably wake up later, either shortly before Keiichi gets home or after he's home. Those men must be going crazy by now, knowing that I ran away. Did anyone else talk to Ryogo-san before she left school? Everybody in the class looked at each other and shook their heads. Chie-sensei looked a bit upset that Rihanna left school early without telling her in person. Ren-san has been feeling sick these days. Meep. She left her bag here. What happened to her? I have a bad feeling about this. What? I think I know what's going on. I'm not sure, but I have a very bad feeling about this. She must take another ridiculous story serious or something. Hope she won't do anything crazy. I hurried home. My father might be at his new job, or he might have gone shopping. He wasn't around when I got there. Now that they're on the move, I'm no longer safe in my house. They're very dangerous people. They're trained to be capable of attacking the Ministry of Construction, and they actually pulled off the kidnapping of the grandson of the minister. I mean, technically these things are true. Locked doors and windows don't mean anything to them. In fact, it'd be like I was hiding in a box, which they could just open and get me. I mean, technically, game 1 did end after Keiichi, had killed Rena and Mion in that situation, and you had the white vans full of people in suits with guns circling around the building, and we ran out of the building and escaped them, but then eventually, the Hinamizawa syndrome hit me, and we basically made a phone call from a payphone booth while clawing out our own throat. I could no longer stay at my home. It's very sad and very frustrating. I killed Ren and Teppei and finally regained a peaceful life with my father. How could this happen to me? I remember what Keiichi told me before. It expressed my feelings better than anything. Takano-san left us a huge parting gift. Why did she give me those terrifying scrapbooks? Why did she tell me the secret of that unthinkable conspiracy? She got me into this. I didn't do anything. It's all Mio-san's fault. I'd kill her if she wasn't already dead. But who was interested in her stories? I was. Who let her continue talking? I did. I did that out of curiosity. Who let the memories of Ibaraki return and told Mio-san about them? I did. I depended on Mio-san, hoping that she could somehow save me from the memories I'd been trying to forget. I shouldn't have remembered anything about that bizarre incident. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten involved in that unthinkable conspiracy, and I could have just played around with my friends today. But even if I didn't know about the conspiracy, I'd still continue to be behind the scenes. I would have been one member of the mob running in a panic, not knowing what's going on the day of Oyashiro-sama's revival or judgment. I would have been just swallowed up in their conspiracy anyway. Would I be happier if I faced that day without knowing anything? Would I be happier if I struggled knowing about it, but ending up swallowed by it? If I'm going to end up the same way no matter what I choose to do, I'll fight. I'll choose to fight. Because that's how I seized my happiness before. When Reina invaded my home, seducing my father, I felt like it was the end of my world. I lived on the verge of despair every day. I thought that was the worst misfortune that could befall anyone. But the way things are going, it wasn't really that bad at all. I had only 2 enemies, Arina Mamiya and Teppei Hojo. I knew my enemies, and I knew how many they were. I lured them out one by one, and I attacked them in the dark. It was a very easy problem to solve. But what about this one? I don't know who my enemies are, and I don't know how many or how strong they are. Even the people I once trusted might be my enemies. I can't possibly be sure. It's totally different from the previous problem. This might be the end of the world. This might be the end of the world. This time really has the worst thing that could possibly happen. But is that really the case? With Rina, I felt like it was the end of the world, but I no longer think it was that bad. So this might turn out an easy problem to solve in the end, and I might be able to laugh about it someday. I know that day will come. I know it for sure. So I shouldn't think like this is the end of the world. Let's fight. I can fight. I can still struggle. I'd eat grass and drink mud if I needed to. I'm going to bet on the 1% chance, even though it's unbelievably small. If Mio-san didn't leave me the scrapbooks, I wouldn't even be able to sit at the table to bet. I was lucky that I received the scrapbooks, because they gave me the chance to choose my future. If I don't fight, they'll spread the terrible parasite, and this village will face a great disaster. According to the legend, when the demons first came out of the swamp, people became demons right after being infected. And it happened while they were inside the village. These days, symptoms only appear when infected to leave the village, but that only applies to the later, weak parasite. The original parasite can reenact the curse of Oyashiro-sama even when the infected are in the village. The legend of Oyashiro-sama will be reborn. Humans and demons will start killing each other, and Oyashiro-sama will come drown to pacify the disaster. That's what they want. They want the people to prostrate themselves before that miracle, and only the people who truly worship Oyashiro-sama will be saved. I see. I know their true intention now. They're going to reenact the legend of Oyashiro-sama. After all, the villagers always say that Rika-chan is his incarnation. The stage is all set. They're going to use the parasite as the curse. So how are they going to make it look like Oyashiro-sama came down to pacify everyone? I get it. They must have some kind of medicine. A specific cure for the parasite. When they recreated the stronger form of the parasite, they found a cure for it at the same time. They're going to use this cure to save only those who believe in Oyashiro-sama, and as a result, the village will only have those fervent believers. They're going to make themselves the absolute rulers of Hinamizawa. Wait, I still not be underestimating them. Are they going to carry out the horrifying act of bioterrorism only inside Hinamizawa? History proves that their goal is to control others. People desire to spread their religion across a wide area. I'm sure that they conducted research not only to bring back the primitive form of the parasite, but also to overcome its weakness, namely that it only thrives in Hinamizawa. According to Mio-san, the research, the parasite doesn't act like its host to be far from the region. Its weakness is distance. If they could extend the distance, if they could extend the area where it can live. I wonder how far their research is. By now, the parasite might be able to live not only in Hinamizawa, but Okonomiya as well. Or maybe even in the city. Maybe the whole prefecture? It might be able to cover nearby prefectures as well. This is too serious to call a conspiracy. It's horrifying enough and large-scale enough that it can be called a revolution. The day of revival is probably not far off. I can tell by how they killed Mio-san, and by the extent of the pressure they're putting on me. They're trying to get rid of the small fish bones stuck in the throat by any means, because that day is coming even closer. I'm the only one who can stand up against the revolution. I can't trust anybody. I think I can trust Kiichi-kun, but no one else. Mi-chan is out of the question. I can't trust Rika-chan either. Satoko-chan and Rika-chan stick together like super glue, so I can't trust Satoko-chan either. I can't trust any adults. I can't trust anybody. No one is on my side. I have to stand up against them alone. The clock is ticking towards that day, and the ticking noise made me frustrated. How should I fight against them? What should I do? I needed time to think. I needed a place, a safe area, where I could concentrate on thinking. Fortunately, I had such an area already. My hideout at the garbage dump. Nobody ever goes there, so it's safe. Even if they found out about that place, I'm familiar with its surroundings. I know escape routes and places where I can hide. But it has a big shortcoming as a hiding place. It's not hard to imagine what that is. I don't have any stock of food there. That's why I came home. I opened up one of my father's drawers, took out his cash box. The contents haven't changed since last time I looked inside. There were many new $10,000 bills in the cash box. I took them all. I couldn't tell how many bills there actually were, but it looked like to be about 80 of them. This should be plenty. If I evaded them long enough to use all of this money, that would mean that I did pretty well. Plus, I might use to buy someone off. You can never have too much money, especially in a situation like this. I didn't take the bank book. If they were waiting at ambush at a bank, I'd be done for. It's too risky to withdraw money at the bank. I grabbed my backpack. I took the key from my bicycle. I put everything I think is being inconvenient into my backpack. I didn't care if it got heavy. I'd choose what was necessary to carry around later at my hideout. If there ended up being something I didn't need, I could leave it there. I had looked at the clock. It had been over 30 minutes since I came home. I stayed here too long. I rushed out of the house. I went to a small convenience store and bought as much sweet bread and canned food as I could fit in my backpack. An old lady was at the register, probably suffering from dementia. She showed no interest in the extraordinary amount of food I was buying. But as soon as the manager of the store checked the sales that night, he'd find out. The idea didn't bother me because I could no longer walk around the village in the daylight anyway. My backpack was full and the cans hurt my back as I walked, but that didn't bother me either. I got to my hideout still carrying the heavy backpack. I organized the stuff I bought. It was very heavy to carry, but now I had sufficient food. The abandoned construction office was still running water, so I can get some from there. I'd wanted to get some vegetables, but in a situation like this I could hardly complain. After I organized things, I took out the scrapbooks I hid here, and I put my brain in top gear, flipping through the pages. So now what? How am I going to stand up against the gigantic conspiracy? I needed to calm down, stay cool, but also to think fast. There might not be a lot of time, so I'd have to hurry, but I don't know what to do. It's easy to run school in the morning when I oversleep. It's easy because I know where I should go. But now I don't know where I should go, or what I should do. Now that I've come to this point, I should tell Oishi-san everything. It's highly likely he's an enemy. But that doesn't matter anymore. If it's true, I'd just declare war. If it's on my side, he'd be my only remaining hope. I'm far too weak to stand alone against the terrifying scale of this conspiracy, poised to instill fear throughout Japan. I'd have to use the public phone to make a phone call, or Keiichi's. There's only one public phone in this village that stands at a place where it's hard for people to spot you. That phone booth. It stands in the middle of nowhere, where nobody really comes around, and many bugs gather around the light when it's dark. It's not a pleasant place to go to, but I can't think of any other public phones I can use to contact Oishi-san without being seen. Even though it stands in the middle of nowhere, it's still dangerous to use in daylight. I should wait until nightfall to take advantage of the darkness. I heard that Oishi-san has been holed up at the station since Mio-san's murder case, so I should be able to reach him any time. I have the number for the direct line to his office, too. The sky was still bright. Even though I had no time, I still had to wait for it to get dark. Frustrated, I glared at the sunset. I should find something to do. I couldn't waste any time I had. There must be something to do. After I thought about what I could do, I found there was something I wanted to confirm. Something I've been worried about. I couldn't do anything else before it got dark anyway. Staying here, doing nothing, would just make me more frustrated. I made my decision and left the hideout. Rena's father paced up and down recklessly in front of his house. A bicycle appeared, its rider ringing the bell. Police officer, here, over here. A police officer from the police station had shown up. Having rushed to get there, he was breathing hard. Ha ha. I hope you didn't wait too long. Please tell me what happened. I know I locked the door before I left, but when I came back, the door was left open, and he led the police officer to the house. And look, my cash box left open in my room. Is this how you found it? You didn't touch anything. I didn't touch the cash box itself because I thought they might need fingerprints. I did touch the contents a little, but checked it was missing. And what did they take? They didn't take bank books or personal seal, but they took the cash. They didn't take your bank books or personal seal, huh? You were lucky. Professional thieves nowadays don't take bank books because they know how easily they can get caught by using them. This might be a professional car burglar. Instead of taking the cash box with him, he opened it here. He has to be a pro. So, how much cash was in there? I haven't counted for a long time. But there was around 110,000 in bills. So $1 million? Ah, I see. Did you tell anybody that you had that much cash in there? No, I didn't. But they probably knew I kept some cash in the house. They, who are they? Can you tell me more about them? Well, it's kind of an embarrassing story. Her name is Rina Mamiya, and just then the phone rang. Oh, excuse me. I'll just go get that. Please give me a minute. He grabbed the phone. Hello, this is Ryu Residence. Hello. This is Mabra. Is Renaissance there? No, she hasn't come back from school yet. She hasn't? I'm very sorry, but I'm in the middle of something right now. Can you call back later? I'm sorry, bye. He hung up after that. I was stunned. It didn't look like anything had changed on the surface. Why is the text for your words get sufficiently darker and redder every time, Rena? What is your outward appearance going like? Are you scratching yourself? How itchy is your neck? No! No! No, you didn't. You went back to the burial site. It was hard to find this place because it perfectly blends in the surroundings. Because I remembered there was a tree with a big lump of wood on nearby. The spot where I buried the corpse was perfectly camouflaged if nothing happened. That's why at first I thought I came to the wrong place. But I could make certain once I stick a shovel in the ground. Why? No! I should be able to tell right away if this place was dug up before or not. After several false starts, I found the exact spot where I buried the corpses. But the biggest problem I saw is that there were no bags in there at all. What? Alright, the forestry people. There are no bags in there at all. Why? How come? Did I bury them deeper than this? No, I didn't. I remember exactly how deep I buried them. I know I didn't bury them deeper than this. I wasn't expecting this. I came here to check the corpses. I just wanted to do that to kill some time. That is a terrible hobby, man. I didn't want to stay in the hideout doing nothing, so you could have taken a nap. I came here to check the corpses were still there. Make sure they're still there, and I'd feel relieved. It was supposed to go like that. This was such an unexpected turn of events that I broke out in a cold sweat. What's going on? What's going on? I don't need to calm down. Think about what happened. Corpses can't come back to life and crawl out of the ground, or can they? Someone must have dug them out. Who did it, and for what purpose? Did anyone happen to see us burying the corpses here? Did they know out if we left? What if they hand them over to the police? No, it can't be. For quite a while since the day we buried him, it was before the Tanagashi festival, so the police did find the corpse, and when Oishi contacted me, he would have had to know about Rina and Teppei. But he didn't tell me anything about them. I don't think he was hiding anything on purpose either. So that means the police don't know about Rina and Teppei yet. Then why are the corpses gone? They would only have one answer. Who knows about this place? One of us came back here, dug out the bags, and took them away. The first person who comes to mind, Mion. I mean, the son is Akafin, but I can't think of a reason why they would do that. The murder of Rina and Teppei had nothing to do with them. I'm sure they don't want to get involved either, let alone be falsely accused. They must stay as far away as possible. Why would they want to keep the corpses? It's like keeping a Joker, even though you'll lose if you have the Joker by the end of the game. If I was Mii-chan, what would I do? What would I do if I was the club president? The Joker is a card you want to get rid of, at least in the game I mentioned earlier, but it has a powerful card in other games. What kind of game would that be? An electric shock ran through my spine. At the same time, I realized that they were one step ahead of me. The Sonosaki family got the corpses to use them as a Joker. As a wild card, they're trying to use them to sell me out to the police. The Sonosaki family is trying to kill me using their death squad, but they want to have insurance just in case they fail. The thing they're afraid of most is that I might work together with the police. If they could prevent that from happening, I'd have no one to work with. If that happens, I can no longer run away from them. I'd still be a fish in their pond. They're going to use the corpses to sell me out to the police for the murder of Rina and Teppei. If the police started seeing me as a suspect, they'd never listen to my story. They could have been my last hope, but this will certainly turn them against me. But I'm sure the Sonosaki family doesn't want to use the Joker unless absolutely necessary. After all, Mia and Sonosaki helped bury the corpses. Plus, they don't want the police to hover around Hinamizawa when the day of revival is so close. I'm going to call Ishii tonight, and I'm going to ask him for help. I'm going to tell him everything, including the things I haven't even told Keiichi-kun. I don't know if Oishi-san will believe me. This is a gamble, and my chances of winning are very small. But the worst of me has the Joker and the bags of the corpses inside. I'm impressed with Mion. That's just what I expect from the leader of the club. This is the battle that I'm betting my life on. To Mion, this is the board game taking place across Hinamizawa itself. I grinned, repeating to myself that this is just a game. I put my life on the line for every club activity we do, because I don't want to suffer the punishment. This time, that's become the literal truth. There could be only one reason why they're trying so hard to drive me into a corner. It's because they're afraid of me. I assumed I was just a little girl with no power, running about in confusion, but my enemy must not be thinking that way. If they didn't think I was a threat to them, they wouldn't take risks like this to drive me into a corner. That means the scrapbooks Mio-san left me must be way more dangerous than I think they are. I see. They have a Joker, but so do I. The Joker is, I have so deadly and powerful that it can break their plot into pieces. That's why they're so eager to find me. Ah, a cornered mouse really can bite a cat. I felt my fear towards my enemy fade all of a sudden. Just like I fear them, so do they fear me too. So this is an evenly matched game. I don't have as bad a hand as I thought I did. I was right to come here. I found out about the card my enemy was holding. This is a big deal. I felt myself shiver with excitement. I grinned to encourage myself. I don't need to be here any longer. They know this place. They might come here to find me. It's not safe for me to stay here for long. I decided to go back to my hideout. On the way back, I passed close to my house. I noticed something different right away. I had been behind a bush and looked at the front gate of my house. My father was talking to a police officer. I strained to catch the conversation. Yes, she usually parks it there. My father pointed to the place where I usually parked my bicycle. Okay, please let us know whenever your daughter comes back. We'll try to find her as well. Mii-chan, you're good. Did you already play your Joker? Mion always starts a battle by attacking without hesitation wins. It seems like the police are already after me. My chance of being able to explain the conspiracy to Oishi was already small, but this makes it even smaller. No. That's why I'm going to talk to Oishi. He sees the Sonosaki as his enemy. He sees the Sonosaki family as his enemy, and he's trying to expose everything about them before his retirement. That's why he'll be on my side. He's not going to fall for their trick. Of course, there's a very high possibility that everything was part of their trap from the beginning. It's possible that he claimed the Sonosaki was his enemy in order to make me believe that he's on my side. But their Joker is actually giving me hope. If Oishi is one of them, it would be too early to play their Joker. Oishi isn't one of them. That's why they got the Joker, so they can play it before I go to the police. No, wait. That might be a trick to make me think that way in order to make me trust Oishi. When Mion gives me two choices to choose from, it's usually better to choose the one I like without thinking too much. Mion, after all, likes to guess people's intentions in order to confuse them. So when you think about the choice too much, you're already in our trap. I'm going to do as I planned. I'm going to call Ishii after it gets dark. If he's going to become my ally, we can talk about it in the future. And if he isn't, that I realized was what I had to think about before it got dark. No, don't worry about calling so late. I don't get paid overtime, but I'm on duty as long as I'm here. I started the conversation with any ordinary greeting to try and gauge his reaction. There's a 50-50 chance that Oishi is one of them. And if he's thereupon, he'll either lure me out somewhere so he can arrest me, or he'll ask me where the scrapbooks are. But even if he didn't, that wouldn't prove anything. It's going to be difficult to determine if he's on my side or not, and I'd have to tell him about the scrapbooks no matter what. My heart's beating very fast. Even if I was sure that Oishi is in their pawn, I'd still have to make him believe such a crazy story, and I'd have to do that over the phone. Worrying wouldn't do anything for me. This is, I know, a gamble. I have but a small chance of winning. If I didn't put my chips on the table, the game wouldn't even start. I told you a little bit about this before, but I think somebody is following me. Are you sure about that? Yes. I wasn't sure before, but I thought it was just my imagination. But things have changed in the past few days, and now I'm certain. What do you mean by things have changed? A few cars have been following me. One of them is a white van with 4 men in it. They disguise themselves as gardeners. They're actually attack units. Attack units? You mean the Sonosaka family's death squad? Yes. I'm pretty sure that's them. They came to my school today. I managed to escape from them in time, but it was very close. But why would they do that? Do they think you're trying to sniff out their connection to the Tomitaki-san's murder? Oishi hasn't mentioned the scrapbooks yet. It sounded rather unnatural to beat around the bush like that by mentioning Tomitaki's murder. But as I haven't told him about the scrapbooks, it could be a legitimate reaction. To tell you the truth, I just heard some bad news. I just wanted to confirm a bit more before letting you know, but we did promise to share new information with each other. So, this is what I heard. It seems like the Sonosaka Corps in Okinomi are on the move. Are you talking about the Sonosaka? Yes. You might find it a bit of a shock. They ordered the Greenhorns to find a certain person. A certain person? My heart stopped for a moment upon hearing that. Are they? It's hard to believe, but you're the person they're looking for. They're trying to find you. I just got this information, so I don't know the reason why, but they're mentioning your name. So you believe my story, that my life's in danger. Yes, it matches with my information perfectly. Ryu-san, what's going on? Technically, they're working for Mio, who's a Nazi doctor of under soldiers, and they're trying to find Retta as a test subject because Mio wants to cut open your skull and find evidence of the brainworms. So, while technically we are mistaken about who and why people are after us, we are correct that there are people after us with very bad intentions to kill us. So, no matter what, we may be mistaken on a lot of things, but the most important thing it'd be kind of like, imagine you're in the middle of a forest and you're hallucinating that wolves are space aliens and they're going to kidnap you for scientific experiments. I mean, obviously you're wrong, but being captured by the wolves that want to eat you will still end in your death. So whether you're punching a wolf or punching a wolf that you think is an alien, you're still saving your life. Ryu-san, what's going on? Do you have any idea? What they're really looking for is scrapbooks I have. They want to know where they are, and they believe that I'm hiding them. They must be thinking that they'll be able to hide the information in the scrapbooks forever if they succeed in shutting my mouth. But I couldn't tell Oishi-san about that yet. I answered his question by asking him a question. What about you, Oishi? Did you have any idea? I can't think of anything. No, I'm afraid I don't. It's hard to believe that the Sonosaka Corps used the resource to capture an individual like you. But it's true. It came from a reliable source. It might be the Sonosaka family who were after me, not just the Sonosaka Corps. It's very unusual for them to take action like this. They only do that when one of their people runs away with their money or something like that. It's usually about some kind of trouble within the group. They have never done things like this to an honest person like you. Well, I'm honored to be the very first one, but I need you to do something other than tell me that they've never done this before. I understand, Ryu-san. Please calm down. Isn't it your turn to tell me something now? What do you mean? Like I said, the Sonosaka don't take action like this often. They might be under some kind of misunderstanding, but still, it's very unusual that they would do something like this. Are you sure you have no idea? You could have gotten them confused about something without you knowing. My guess is that you sniffed around the Sonosaka family and found out about a secret of theirs, or they think you did. You can lead them to monopolize like that by doing nothing. What you did must have been obvious to them. Are you sure you have no idea? Is he my ally or enemy? I still can't figure it out. This is it. Make your decision, Ren Ryugu. Maybe they're after me because I have Mio-san's scrapbooks. Mio-san? Mio Takano? Her scrapbooks? What do you mean? If he was my enemy, he wouldn't be able to hide his excitement. But his voice remained steady, and didn't sound unusual when he said the word scrapbooks. Well, I met Mio-san in the library a few days before she was murdered. We talked and got along well, so she let me borrow some of her scrapbooks in which she wrote about her studies. Scrapbooks? Her studies? Mm-hmm. Yes, Mio-san was studying the history of Hinamizawa. She sent her findings to those scrapbooks. I think they killed Mio-san. They found out some of her scrapbooks were missing, and also she gave them to me. They're after the scrapbooks. Ryo-san, what in the world are you talking about? She collected all her research about Hinamizawa and its ancient past among completing these scrapbooks. She wrote about the origin of Oishiro-sama's cult in them, too. The origin of the cult of Oishiro-sama? You mean the story of the man-eating demons? Yes. In her research, she discovered a very important secret about Oishiro-sama. The secret was extremely blasphemous for the people who worship him. I see. Those people, the most devout believers, couldn't accept the result of her research. Oishi was taking notes. I could hear him writing something while he spoke. They killed Mio-san, and they're trying to get at her scrapbooks. They weren't sure if I had them, so they followed me to find out, but I think they changed their plans yesterday. They're now just trying to kill anyone they think is suspicious. I see. That doesn't sound good at all. I'm going to arrange a security detail for you. And let me take a look at those scrapbooks, too. I might be able to find some clues about her murder. No. I mean, they might have pawns inside the police force, so don't worry about me. I can look after myself. Same with the scrapbooks. They're going to try to destroy them, even if they were kept at the police station. You may be right if the Sonozaki Corps is chasing after you, because in order for the head of the that means our enemy is the Sonozaki himself. If so, I'm afraid I really can't guarantee that we don't have a traitor among us. That's what I'm saying. Please don't worry about me. But I have a favor to ask you. It's very important. Go ahead. What is it? According to Mio-san's research, there is a horrifying conspiracy to work in the shadows of Hinamizawa, and it's about to be carried out in the near future. A conspiracy? What's that about? I got tense all of a sudden. If I tell him everything, it's going to sound like a big lie. I should leave out the bizarre-sounding parts for now. It'd actually make the story more credible. Fanatical worshippers of Oishiro-sama are the ones behind the conspiracy. Since the Meiji era, they believe in Oishiro-sama has slowly disappeared, so they're trying to revive the majesty of Oishiro-sama that the people of Onigfushi once worshipped. Go on, I'm listening. I'm just writing this down. According to Mio-san's research, the origin of the legend of Oishiro is a primitive endemic disease. People feared this endemic disease and called it the curse of Oishiro-sama. And then someone like a doctor treated the disease, and then they worshipped the villages of Oishiro-sama himself. The village was then under his control. Oh, I see. That's interesting. Go on. The endemic disease was caused by a parasite unique to this region. But it became weaker with every generation, and now it doesn't do any harm to people, as you can imagine. To them, a harmless endemic disease means no curse of Oishiro-sama. No curse means no savior. They can't keep the sanctity of Oishiro-sama like that. And to revive the sanctity of Oishiro-sama means they have to revive the endemic disease, right? That's right. They want to recreate the legend of Oishiro-sama in order to make Oishiro-sama a deity again. That's why they're trying to create the original parasite, because it can bring back a more powerful strain of the endemic disease. The true intention of this series of mysterious deaths was to test results of the research, and now they finally succeeded reenacting the maggots disease with Tomotaki-san. It took them 5 years, but they managed to bring the parasite back to its original power. What the hell? Their goal was to spread the parasite, use the cure they developed to save only those who were believing in Oishiro-sama, and create for them a paradise. Are you sure it's all true? The scrapbooks say that most of the residents in Hinamizawa are affected by the parasite. There is medical evidence for its existence, too. I can't believe it. Damn it. That hag Oryu is on death's door already. Yet she can't just cross the sticks on her own? This is indiscriminate terrorism. What the hell? The original parasite can only survive around Hinamizawa, but there's a high probability they've improved it to be able to survive in a wider area. It's going to destroy not only Hinamizawa, but also Konomiya, or even the entire city. Or the entire prefecture. Damn it. What should we do? Who's behind all this? It's the 3 families. Most likely the Sonozaki family's in charge. But I'm not sure Oryu is the leader or not. I can only refer to them as they. I also have no idea how far this thing reaches. Do you know where they're doing all this research? I can shut it down. I don't know. It's not in the scrapbooks either. Do you have any idea? It must be a big facility that do the kind of research you can use a garage for remodeling guns or something like that. But when it comes to the parasites, I don't think that would be enough. Mio-san was a nurse at the Eri clinic. Do you think that could be it? I always thought it was a bit too big and fancy for a small village in Hinamizawa. Ha! The Erie Clinic. They need a specially designed facility with advanced airtight containment, among other considerations to be able to do research on endangered parasites like this one. It's easy to equate suspicious research with a clinic facility, but it also sounds too easy and a little cliche. At first I thought they converted part of the clinic into a secret research center, but that actually sounds a little too unrealistic. Anyway, I don't know where it is, so please find that out. Can you just raid every suspicious place at once? As you know, we need a warrant for that kind of thing. There is a way we can get one even after doing a raid, but I need conclusive evidence that it was actually the research building in question in order to do that. Oishi's a police officer. If he's going to work as a police officer, he has to follow the rules. But they really are planning bioterrorism. There has to be a reason why they killed Mio-san so quickly. I think the reason is because their day of revival isn't far off. Okay, I understand. I'll try to do what I can. With an unthinkable plan like this, I'd imagine it'd be difficult to keep all the Sonosaka members on their side. I'm sure there are some who are secretly against it. I'll try to make contact with those people. Don't worry, I'm very good at things like this. Nufu? Oishi laughed, trying to cheer me up. I was upset with the work at the police force, but Oishi's positive reaction is very reliable. He's what you might call an outlaw. Oishi's greatest advantage to me is that he doesn't exactly play by the rules. It's very encouraging that he has that kind of skill, especially since we have to act both very quickly and without conclusive evidence. The police normally investigate incidents after they've happened, but that doesn't work in this case. If this incident actually does occur, it's going to be a very big disaster. Mio-san exposed such a horrifying conspiracy. I'm scared. She met with a very sad end. She was burned in a drum in the mountains of Gifu. I feel very sorry for her. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you something. We found something odd about her death. Something odd? Well, at first I thought it had something to do with the case. But after hearing your conspiracy story, it's going to sound like nothing. The crime lab probably just made a mistake. Please, tell me, I want to know. We promised to tell each other everything, didn't we? I don't mean to hide it. It's just that it might sound like a silly horror story. Ryugo-san, do you remember the night of the Watanagashi? After the festival? You and your 4 friends talked to Tomotaki and Takano-san, didn't you? Yes, we did. We just talked for a few minutes or so, I think. Well, we found Takano's dead body that night, but the crime lab in Gifu Prefecture said that she'd been dead for 24 hours when she was found. Basically, Mio's still alive, she faked her death, and the burned dead body was set up in advance the day before. So Mio herself killed the person in the drum and set the drum up as her alibi. Because after all, you can't be responsible for a crime in the future if you're already dead. But that doesn't make sense. If that's true, she had to be dead the night before the festival. What's that supposed to mean? I'm confused. So either Mio faked her own death, or Revenge of the Body Snatchers. If she was found dead on the night of Watanagashi, and she had been dead for 24 hours, that means, in short, it means she was already dead on the night of Watanagashi. So the Takano, whom you saw that night, was a zombie? I got you, didn't I? Yeah, well, like I said, I think they just made a mistake. I felt my brain freezing over. Oishi laughed, saying that it sounded like a horror story from summer camp. But actually, the fact that Mio-san's time of death was off backed up her incredulous theories. I haven't mentioned this one to Oishi or Keiichi-kun. If I did, they'd start to doubt everything else I've said. That's how absolutely unbelievable this theory is. At any rate, the mismatch at the time of Mio-san's death means a lot. What irony. Mio-san came up with a theory, and she proved it correct with her own life. No, not yet. This doesn't prove anything yet. If her theory is true, it might happen again. There's no way. It can't be true. I still can't believe it. But Oishi just said it. He said Mio-san was already dead on the night of the festival. It means that Mio-san, who was walking arm in arm with Tomotaki-san on the night, wasn't Mio-san. Mio-san was already dead. So that wasn't her. So that means she was... I felt a new sensation, one I'd never felt in my life before. It wasn't an ordinary kind of dread. It was the fear of the truth. No, fear is worse than fear of accepting truth you don't want to believe. Compared to the fear of being stalked by Sonozaki family and being burned alive in an oil drum looks silly. That's how deep of a fear I felt, and I felt it crawling all over my body. Ryugo-san, please listen to me. I understand you don't trust the police. It's true the Sonozaki family has control over the entire city. There are some traitors at my station too. But you're in danger. You can trust me. I want you to trust me as an individual person. I can provide shelter for you. It's a place nobody knows but me. Please trust me. I don't doubt Oishi at this point. I actually think he's very reliable. I would have said yes without a second thought, but the situation has drastically changed. If Mio-san's death backs up the unbelievable truth, I trust Oishi. I believe he'll find the enemy and take them down, but I'd rather protect myself and my own than let someone else do it. If the unbelievable truth is real, then I couldn't trust anybody except myself. No, even myself might appear before me too. Oishi-san, thank you so much. Anyway, please find the research center and put a stop to the conspiracy. I'm going to hide somewhere for a while. I'll call you again. I noticed I'd been on the phone too long. I've been using this phone booth with light on in the middle of the darkness. In other words, I've been telling everybody I'm here. Hello? Hello? She hung up. Oishi wanted to talk more. He clicked his tongue and put the phone down. His junior Kumagai rushed into the room. Oishi-san, it's getting really bad now. It's Tatsuyoshi Kasai who gave the Sonozaki Corps the order to find Rena Ryugu? I mean, I know we said the thing to Mion about wanting to meet with and see Kasai, but that seems like a weird way to go about doing it. Kasai, Akane Sonozaki's right-hand man, because it was a pretty high-ranking big shot, even amongst the boss's youngster brothers. He used to be the boss of a subordinate branch, but after suffering a bad injury during a gang war, he stepped down and now he served as the boss's aide. Akane Sonozaki relies especially on him, and as her right-hand man, he's still feared even now. When Kasai moves, other gangs consider it a declaration of war. They fear him very much. He's a warrior among warriors. He's been lying low these days, but he's led countless numbers of gang wars. He was also a leader of the professional attack squadron that went to the U.S. to receive military training during the damn conflict. They were crazy enough to think about attacking the Ministry of Construction for real. It looks like it's causing quite an uproar about the informants. They're saying the Rena Ryugu must have found some kind of information that's very inconvenient for the Sonozaki Corps. I'm impressed at how to the point our informants actually are. Still, this is getting serious. Sato-san thinks this is a tape. It's the tape Oreo and the Ministry of Construction recorded during their secret negotiations. If that's true, it's going to cause quite a few deaths. This is more serious than what she thought. If her story is true, it's just a massive conspiracy. It's going to cause more than quite a few deaths. It might be destroying the village or entire prefecture. This is going to be the biggest bioterrorist strike in history. Rena Ryugu is in danger. Kuma-chan, arrange an unmarked patrol car to keep watch in her house. As of today, we're going to put Rena Ryugu under protection. She's convinced she's being threatened by the gang. I'll talk to the section manager later. Well, actually, Rena Ryugu seems to have run away from home. A police officer confirmed that a lot of money disappeared from her father's cash box. Sounds like she took it and ran away. And I also had a call about a car belonging to Sonozaki Corps parked in front of her house, too. What? Why didn't you tell me that sooner? Rena Ryugu is in great danger. She wasn't calling me from her house then. We need to find her right away. Get me a car. Arrest the people parked in front of her house. And get some guys over here. They're coming with me. Yes, sir. What? Rena-san wasn't at home? It's pretty late. Yes. I waited in front of her house for a while, but she didn't come home. Maybe she's at a friend's place. She might be at Sis's house with her friends, doing their club activities or whatever. Shion was lying down on the sofa, picturing her sister and her friends fooling around and playing games like they always did. I thought so too, so I stopped by Mion-san's house and Rena wasn't there either. Mion-san was worried about her too. Oh, really? Well, I wonder what happened to her. She might have been caught by some hoodlum. That would be unusual. Though, that would be unusual. I already told my staff to look for her just in case. I don't think that's what happened. She's not as weak as she looks. Anyway, why did she want to see me? Kasai took off his jacket. Shion only told him to go see Rena because she had heard that Rena had requested to see him in person. Oh, I thought I told you. She said she found something you lost. Rena-san wanted to give it back to you in person. Hey, I guess she likes you or something. Oh, please. Anyway, I hope she's alright. Right then, the phone rang. Kasai answered while loosening his tie. Yes, I understand. At once. Kasai sounded very serious, and Shion immediately figured out who he was talking to. Who was it? Was it my father? Yes. The Sonozaki family has sent out an order to find Rena-san right away, and to bring her to the main house. You mean Oryu gave the order?